Good evening, Reds. This is your host, Jarvis Cocker. Tonight we are going to have Stu Woolley and Phil Marsh as guests on Jarvis's Corner on MUFC Realist TV. So stay tuned. We will be back right after the intro.
There is nothing wrong with your television set. Do not attempt to adjust the picture. We are controlling transmission. If we wish to make it louder, we will bring up the volume. If we wish to make it softer, we will tune it to a whisper. We will control the horizontal. We will control the vertical. We can roll the image, make it flutter. We can change the focus to a soft blur, or sharpen it to crystal clarity. For the next hour, sit quietly and we will control all that you see and hear. We repeat, there is nothing wrong with your television set. You are about to participate in a great adventure. You are about to experience the awe and mystery which reaches from the inner mind to...
Yes, sir. We are live. So, welcome to Jarvis's Corner, MUFC Realist TV. I know it's the Euros, but tonight we are going to focus on Man United and talk about the latest transfer news. There's some big news with Jonny Evans, and we have Phil Marsh on as a special guest, and he's here to tell us about the inside of Man United, about his time at the club, and his experience with Sir Alex and the other legends of the club. So it will be a good show. Yes, Stu Woolley, how are you doing, my friend?
Yeah, I'm all right. Just not long back from footy, actually. So I'm a bit dishevelled, as I was saying to Phil. But all in all, yeah, not bad. Pleasantly not surprised about how England performed. I expected a dour performance, and it was a dour performance. But it was quite interesting, the group chat as Jude scored and Bello was going mad in our group chat at the time from the stadium, which I thought was quite funny. But all in all, yeah, not too bad at all, pal. Not too bad at all.
Good to hear. Good to hear. And Phil Marsh, big up, old friend. You've been. Is it third time you're on the show now, or is it fourth? Starting to become a regular.
Yeah, I've been on a few times now. I'm not actually 100% sure how many times, but I think it's definitely 3, maybe 4. So yeah. Good just to be nice, back. Nice.
I'm glad you could come on tonight, because there's not many Man United news. Always, there's transfer rumors and stuff like that, but there's no games. We're off season, so tonight we will try to involve the VAR room and have a Q&A session with you, and they can ask a lot of questions about your career and how it was to be a Man United player, and with your opinion. So VAR room, come in with your questions. Oh, we have a naked Mick Ruby.
Yeah, that's all. Let's see. What happened there? Dear me. Oh, God.
Bloopers.
The trouble is, I can't unsee that, can I? My eyes. Oh, my God.
It's burnt into your eyes.
I can't. Oh, Jesus. Where's the acid? Get me some acid.
Did I come on the wrong show here, guys? Or?
I was just wondering whether I was on the wrong show as well. I thought, bloody hell.
In Mick's excuse is in Thailand, and it's pretty warm. So
I can imagine, mate.
Yeah. So tonight I plan to talk a little bit about just the latest transfer news. Roshmano sent me a lot of the latest news and a little bit about the Euros. Guys, have you got to see any of the games, or did you see the England game yesterday? And how was it?
Well, I fell asleep for most of it because I thought it was absolutely woeful and abysmal.
Yeah.
But when you got somebody like Vlahovic up front and Milenko-Savic, sorry, I'm getting confused now between Serbia. What is it? Serbia? Well, who played today? Crikey.
Croatia.
No, Croatia didn't.
Romania, Ukraine.
Jesus, well, it's anyway. There's a lot of it going around, isn't there? But no, we were never going to beat them easily, and to be honest, we could have lost the game if they had a bit more composure in front of goal. We could have come away on the wrong end of a victory. But the thing about tournament football is you win, and it doesn't matter how you win as long as you take the first win in the group, because that sets you up for the rest. So one more win pretty much takes us through. So I'll be interested to see when we play Denmark, which I think is Friday, is it, Phil?
Thursday. Thursday at 5.
Thursday we play Denmark. So if we can get over Denmark, and I thought we're average at best, so we should be able to get over them, then we qualify. But we're really seriously going to have to up our performance, because we're not going to get past the quarterfinals at this rate. We're just not playing well enough. I mean, I looked at Belgium today, thought they were quite poor. France are struggling against Austria. Germany beat a very lackluster Scotland. Holland barely got the draw, didn't they, themselves?
Yeah.
I'm not really sure who's...
Spain looked quite good, to be fair. We watched it.
Yeah, they did. Yeah.
They just, typical Spain performance, quite good on the ball and moved it well, but again, not against the top opposition that you'd expect at the moment. So it's just one of them things. We'll have to just wait and see until we start playing against some better teams, I think.
Yeah.
Again, just to add on to what you said about England, I think for me, I've watched quite a lot of the games, and obviously I was expecting a tough game last night against Serbia. A lot of big, strong, physical players, which sometimes that can be our sort of downfall, especially with the sort of back four at the moment. It's a little bit makeshift. So it was, to be honest, as you said, it was good to just get the 3 points and the result. I thought first half we looked quite good and had a lot more control. I just think once that second half kicked off and Serbia sort of wrestled away into the game and we didn't quite get a foothold back in it, and I think Gareth was maybe a little bit negative for me with some of the substitutions. I would have maybe liked to have seen an Eze or a Gordon and just injected a little bit of pace and tried to sort of contract that control and just shift it back. But again, as you say, first game we just wanted the 3 points, and hopefully we can improve in the next couple of games.
Yeah. Definitely. Just before we move on, we should mention that Rashmana was the winner of last week's question and answer session. So, Phil, if that's all right with you, Jarvis will send you his details, and then you can.
To be honest, he has sent them over.
Great.
But I've just been, as I said to you before, I've just been really busy at the moment, so I've not forgot about it. I will sort something out with Rush.
Super, fantastic.
Sounds good. Yeah, it sounds good. Yeah, I have to be honest. I haven't got to see. I only seen second half of the England game. That's all of the Euros I have seen up to now, because I've been super busy. This weekend I had a big football tournament with my son. I'm the coach of his team. That was excellent. We had so much fun all weekend long. We were playing a lot of games from early on 8 o'clock in the morning until like 7 o'clock at night.
Nice.
Non-stop. And that was so fantastic, and the kids enjoyed it. And I would recommend everybody, if you haven't been a coach for a youth team with kids, it's an experience. I'm buzzing now on Monday after this weekend, because they give so much back in effort, and they're so honest in everything they do, and they're willing to learn. They listen, and you can actually give advice, and it's so fantastic. And the emotions are real. When they lose, they cry, and when they win, they cheer with all their heart. Yeah. So it's a fantastic feeling. And I've had such a good time this weekend. I haven't even thought about the Euros and Man United, only my own team. And they did well too. They only lost one game and won the rest.
So, brilliant.
Yeah. I'm super happy with the performance. But at the end of the day, the performance doesn't even count when you're at that age, like 7 or 8. It's all about learning about football.
Well, absolutely. Did you get your iPad out and go through tactics during the game?
No. I just keep it simple, and when I coach,
that's what I do.
I don't even try to instruct them. If they do a good pass, I encourage it, but I'm not saying you have to pass. and I'm just not trying to instruct them too much. I'm just trying to go with the flow and learn them the basics. It's more about teaching them how to be playing football in a way, when you listen to the referee, how to take the kick when you start the game, and all of those basics, and that's fantastic.
Oh, super.
But yeah, I'm super happy.
Good.
Yeah.
So did they win the tournament as a whole, or?
Oh no, they're not competing at that age.
Oh, they're not competing at that age.
They're not even allowed to keep score. That's the thing.
Yeah, you see, I forgot because my lad's 23, so I was coaching him from the age of 6 onwards, so at that age, we kind of weren't keeping score, but we kind of were. So, but you couldn't thrash the opposition at all. You could only get to a certain. So, if you beat them 9-0, for example, it'd be a 3-0 win. So it wouldn't be 9-0. Is that still the same now, Phil?
Yep.
I think so. It depends what kind of. There's different rules. So I think sometimes if sort of a team gets to a certain score, then they either take a player off or they offer, there's different rules for different levels and leagues. So. Yeah, but I think that is still a thing. But a lot of teams just, if it is so one-sided, they either offer a player from their team or they take one off just to try and even it up and not obviously make it so embarrassing, if you know what I mean. So
yeah, right. But it's all changed. I mean, when I was growing up, it was 11-a-side. That was it. Full-size goals. That was it. And then when my lad was born, it was 7-a-side, 9-a-side, 11-a-side with smaller goals, and 11-a-side with larger goals. I'm like, you used to confuse the hell out of me. No offsides, then it's offsides, all sorts of stuff. Very strange.
Yeah. You guys, I just want to show you a snippet from the tournament. Just like a few seconds, just to have a sense of how it actually is. And the young kids, but they are actually very good, and I'm impressed of the level of how they perform. So I'm just gonna add this, and you can just watch. It's a 5 seconds video. So
I've seen that kit somewhere before, Mr. Cochran.
So basically, they play 3 against 3 in a small pitch.
Wow.
Yeah. So this is how it goes all day long. And it's super funny, watching them.
I don't think we do. Do we do that in the UK, Phil? I don't recall.
I don't think we necessarily. I mean, in that kind of picture, did he play like off the boards as a thing? As like in terms of if it hits the side, he just play on
or play on all the time. It's about constantly being on the ball and constantly keeping the ball in place. So that's very intense, but then when they play 3 against 3, there's an open goal. We had a tactic. When it comes to me, the tactic was full out press high, don't mind the goal. You can do whatever you want, try to press and try to score. That's the main goal. And I wanted to teach the kid to press high and to be forced to run back when they lost the ball all the time, not just be static, one back and 2 in front. So we had a couple of tactics, and then it worked well, and they really. They can run, these kids. They have energy all day long.
Crikey! Yeah. I always think I'm running fast, and then Jake reminds me that I'm not. And I say to him, I say, look at the pace. Do you see the fireball behind me? The grounder. You must be joking, Dad. I can walk quicker than that. I think, Jesus. And when I'm running, I'm like. Like, I feel like I'm going at a rate of knots. It's terrible, isn't it? But did I recognise that kit, Mr. Cocker? Is there young Jarvis wearing a similar kit when he was young? Does your lad play for your team?
Yes.
There you go. That's what it's all lovely, isn't it? You see, me and my lad have both played for Wellington Amateurs in the West Midlands Prem, and back at the time, so it was about 3 years ago. And he didn't think much of it, and I think it's brill. But he doesn't think much of it. He thinks, whatever. So you play, big deal, Dad. For me, it's quite cool, isn't it, to have your son kind of following your.
Yeah.
Your
Yeah, it's
footsteps.
fantastic. And I have a friend that coached the other team of the 7 years old and 8 years old, and we started to play football together when we were 6, and we
Yeah.
ended our career when we were 41, both of us. So now we are both coaches.
Well,
So
Phil's got a coaching business.
Yeah, that's at the moment. That's what predominantly I've been doing. I tend to do one-to-one small groups and sort of like finishing workshops and stuff. So I've just pretty much recently set up on a Friday now. I do a couple of hours with lads from 11 to 13 where we're just doing like loads of different shooting drills, just working on different angles, different types of finishes, and we've obviously got a good group of keepers now that are in net for him, because I think when previously I was doing finishing sessions with him and there was no goalkeeper in net, I think sometimes subconsciously you can get a little bit complacent, and obviously I say to him, sometimes that wouldn't happen because the keeper would be coming out there and he'd maybe take that off you, or touch was too far. So now we're getting it more match realistic where there's an actual goalkeeper in net, and when I say a goalkeeper, the good lads, these lads, they're at academies, so they're having to really work hard now to score goals. Which will benefit them in the game situations that they're actually working on. Proper situations now that they can relate to in a game.
But Phil, what age do they start actually at the academy, like really working on the players? Like, is it 10 years old, or?
I think nowadays it's earlier. I think obviously
Earlier.
There's lads getting picked up at the age of like 6 and 7 now, which is, for me, is ridiculous, really. But I think, at that age, really, that should just more be about the fun of the game and just enjoying yourself, not trying, too much on trying to coach and, drive technical ability into them. I think that age, you just want to leave them, have the freedom to do what they want to do, express themselves. Enjoy playing the game, score goals and what have you. And then when you get to sort of around, I think, 10, 11, that's when you can sort of start then, digging into little bits and maybe making a bit of a difference on technique and showing them, different aspects of the game in terms of positional play and stuff like that, where then they can start trying to understand it a little bit more and obviously take that into a game situation.
Yeah. I mean, it used to be, Jarvis. It still is the same now, but about 8 years ago, 9 years ago, maybe even 10 years ago, the development squads were mentioned a lot, weren't they, Phil? And players were getting picked up 10, 11, 12, and parents were going on, like, my son's at Stoke City Development, and used to like, oh, congratulations, because you have to buy your own kit. you know what I mean, don't you, Phil? You just look at what
to be fair, there's hundreds of people who I know who have stories about, I used to play for, whoever it is. And, but again, it's like that really doesn't stand for a lot in terms of, when you've played in a development team or whatever, it's great, all good and well, that you've had the experience of maybe going there. But again, it doesn't really count for that much because at that age, and obviously when we're talking about development stuff, that's not really, the academy type stuff where you're getting the proper coaching, you're getting into the nitty-gritty, become, an up and coming, maybe going into a full-time YTS or a professional contract. So again, you've got to take some of that stuff with a pinch of salt, even though, some people maybe over exaggerate it more than others.
Right, funny, isn't it? It's funny because
I think you can see them kind of people a mile off. That I always think, like, someone who's genuine, who you can speak to and have a proper conversation, and they have the sort of sob stories about why they never made it and whatever. But and then you have others who are just literally, you think, just wasting my time here speaking to this.
My lad was approached by, or I was approached by Stoke, and he comes up to me, he goes, hi, scout for Stoke City. We're thinking of the development squad. And I said, I'll just stop you there. He goes, why? I'm not interested in development. And I walked away. And people looked at me and said, well, what do you mean it's Stoke? I said, you must be joking. I said, you've got development coaches. These are coaches, bless them, that are doing their best to get into professional football. So they have to start somewhere, but they're no better than, say, you, me, or anyone with a deeper knowledge of football and the basics on how to coach. And and then they'll come up with it. And Phil, I'll tell you, Jarvis, I'm not joking here, right? They say, yeah, come and sign your forms for Stoke City Development Squad. And by the way, could you write a check for £600 as well for the kits? You have to have all the official kit, but you have to buy it. You know, and this is not what football's about. It's this big thing. I think what they need to do now is remove the development side out of it and just concentrate on the fun element. So right now at the moment, Wolves in particular, I think Manchester United do it, don't they, and other clubs. They pick up kids from 3, 4, 5 and 6, basically kids that move and walk who show an interest in playing football, and they just have a fun camp. So you pay to get into this camp, but you are coached by really good youth coaches, and they're using that as part of their A license and B license and things like that, because you have to do a variety of different coaching, don't you, Phil?
Yeah. No, and again, that's different to what we was talking about prior. I think obviously, you know, some of these other coaches were, you know, you have to pay, for example, like you just mentioned there. You're not really going to benefit from that, and it's just basically using a name of a club to sort of glorify, you know, a bit of additional coaching. But yeah, again, you know, we've said about sort of what age groups now that the kids that you see now are getting scouted and picked up, and it's crazy really to think that this kid's sort of 6, 7 years of age and getting picked up for some of these big clubs, and obviously, you know, with the view that these players are going to go on and sort of make a big impact in the game. But again, at that age, for me, it's just purely based on enjoyment, fun, making sure you stay in love with the game, making sure when you go in there, you've got a smile on your face and that you go in to have a good time. And there's not too much I mean, at that age, there shouldn't be too much pressure from my point of view on sort of performances and sort of, you know, tactical side of things. I think you just leave them and let them express themselves, and obviously you're hoping that the sort of you know, as they go on, that they sort of start to pick up bits that will help them moving forward.
I mean, you are right though. Just before we do the super chat, Jarvis, right, the sweet spot is 11 to 13, isn't it? Really, that's where you can actually start to mould a player.
Well, that age group, the one at the moment, I've really enjoyed working with. I've got a lot of lads. So I've got a lot of lads at the moment. There's some at Wigan, some at Blackpool. Got a couple who's come down from Charlie. I've got one who's at Fleetwood. I've got one who's at Salford. So I've got lads there who have got something, and they're just sort of trying to polish up a little bit to just try and, you know, give them that extra little bit. And I think obviously these tutoring sessions that I've been doing, because a lot of these lads are strikers or wingers or, you know, attacking players. They're saying that, you know, these kind of sessions that I'm doing are having a difference, because when they're going into the games now, they've got much more of a clearer picture that when they go through, because of the repetition that we're doing now in terms of creating the same scenarios, creating the same angles and situations, so that when they go into the game now, instead of maybe getting a little bit flustered and not knowing what to do, it's more of a, right, this is that one again. It's a natural sort of repetition.
But Phil, do you develop young players at the age of 10 or 11 into positions, or do you make them all rounders?
Yeah, no, I think at that age now, that you sort of, your position is sort of then getting molded into, you know, what you want to do. So as I say, then I work with a lot of the, obviously being a former striker, I sort of tend to work with a lot of attacking players and try and just share my experience and my knowledge of obviously the coaches I worked with coming through the ranks, especially at United with some of the top coaches, and just trying to replicate some of the movements, some of the sort of positions. Obviously getting your first touch right is massive, I think, for any attacker, any sort of winger or you know, person that's trying to, you know, be an effective goal scorer. You've got to make sure you've got a good first touch, because that's what sets everything up. So I do a lot of work on that, and just sort of getting yourself in the right body positions, and obviously working on technique. And I think, as I say, the lads are really enjoying it at the moment, so it's good.
It's funny, isn't it, Phil? When you sorry, Jeff, I promise you, we'll get to your super chat next, Jeff. I do apologise. Look, I've even got the glasses ready for you, pal. You're right though about positional sense, knowing when to move, knowing when to stand still, knowing when to fake a movement, knowing when to fake to come out, fake to go in. But I always found it with the younger kids around that kind of age, they're not inability because they could shoot and really strike the ball nicely, but they couldn't sweep the ball. They wouldn't know how to sweep at home. It would all be laces, or it'd all be too much power on the instep. They didn't know how to kind of do it. And I was teaching them the sweeping technique, the backspin technique. I absolutely love myself. I love the backspin where you just scoop it. You go like that because the ball's just tantalizingly, but it's spinning and spinning and spinning. And all of a sudden it drops, doesn't it? Just trying to teach them how to do that with composure. It's a difficult task, isn't it? Because they think they know, and as long as they listen and you can demonstrate, where
that's one thing I've got that sort of goes in my favour. A lot of the time when I'm sort of giving them the information, or I'm asking them to sort of do a particular type of finish, I can visually show them and sort of say to them, this is what I want. And then obviously give them a demonstration and show exactly the kind of technique or the sort of, stuff that I'm asking for. So I think that works really well because a lot of kids nowadays want to see exactly what you mean. So in terms of giving them the information and talking them through it is one thing. But I think obviously if you can then show them and sort of physically show how that would look real time, and obviously, in the situation, then that's a massive plus, obviously being, still able to sort of do that as a coach. So that's really enjoy.
What I did, my missus bought me a great Valentine present once. It wasn't great, but it was okay. She bought me a pair of Kaisers, so that's all right in itself. But they were blue, so I wasn't. I kind of got them and I went, they're nice. I love fucking blue Kaisers. You can't go out in blue. So I used to do when they were knackered, I used to get some spray paint, some white spray paint, and I'd spray on my boots the positions on where to strike, and so I could visually. Show them what to do. So I'm striking here right at the very tip of the toe, or I'm going to come down on it, I'm going to backspin it. So I used to do that with them, really, just to try and show them, because for somebody like yourself who's expert at gliding the ball and shaping the ball and that, for somebody who's can kick a ball but not in your level, I find it a bit easy to do that side, really. So Jarvis,
Jeff deserves this because he's been so patient. Sorry, Jeff.
Sorry, Jeff. It's my fault.
Super chat, super chat, super chat. Super chat.
Oh, for God's sake. Phil, you're going to have to get a hat or something, dude.
I'll just have a sip of my Coke for now.
Yeah, I was pretty Coke for him.
Yes. Jeff still comes in with $5 Aussie. Aussie. He says Ineos sending good offers for players before selling anyone. So do they have a bigger budget than we expected? ? After sales, maybe marquee signings. That's a good question, and we will come to that. But maybe Phil can have this. What's your thought about Jeff Steele's comment and his question?
I think at the moment, obviously, we're still sort of waiting for maybe some players to go out in terms of to fully understand how much money we've got to play with in terms of bringing players in. Jonny Evans obviously announced today, which is, for me, I love Jonny Evans. I was lucky enough to play with him, and he's a great lad. But I don't think that kind of sort of announcement is going to get United fans on the edge of the seat. I think that was just done purely based on what he's done this year. He's stepped in when he's came in and been called upon. He's done a great job. Obviously, he's a very experienced player, and he's probably great to have around the place. So no problems with him staying for another year. However, now I think obviously, now that the management situation's been resolved, I think obviously now we need to start looking at, replacing some of the players that we've obviously lost. Varane, we definitely need other centre half for me. We talked about this last time. I think I was on the show about somebody to help Højlund. We needed a centre forward for me who's going to come in and, take a little bit of weight off his shoulders. Martial's obviously left, so that position for me is crucial that we get someone in with a bit of experience and obviously a bit of quality who can take a little bit of the pressure off Højlund, because obviously he's been left obviously on his own at this moment in time to sort of lead the line, and obviously a lot of pressure on him. And B, for me, I think obviously in training, and he seems like the person who at the moment would benefit massively off having that person who he could learn off and just sort of, fine tune his skill set that he's got. Because again, I think he's going to be a great striker. He's just still a little bit raw, and obviously stepping into, be the Manchester United centre forward is a massive ask for anybody. So for him to be doing that at such a young age, it's obviously taking its toll. So I'm hoping that we are going to have a lot of money to spend and that we can get some good players through the door. In terms of how much, I'm not quite sure, because obviously we've been told that they're spending 50 million on the training ground, which is a great investment. I think obviously Carrington, I've been there a couple of times this year, and when people talk about Carrington being not one of the top training grounds, I can half understand that, because obviously Carrington's been pretty much the same since I was there. But when you look around the facility and you go in and you see all the stuff, and they've got everything there at the disposal that a professional footballer would need to be successful. So obviously, to make it look nicer, and obviously to sort of, give people the idea that we are moving along and we're competing with other top grounds and other teams. I get that. So it's good to see that investment has been made. And hopefully the stadium will obviously follow suit as well with the stuff that's going on at Old Trafford to sort of make sure that, all that leaks and things like that aren't going to carry on. Because I think, the rain in that game last year, when obviously it was teeming down, and obviously rival fans are sort of laughing about the state of Old Trafford. I don't think that should obviously be something that lingers on. I think that sort of needs addressing as well, sort of as soon as possible. But I'm sure that will be done. And just looking forward to hearing, who's sort of going to be in the pipeline. I've seen Sergio Ramos has been, put on a free today, so he could be potentially someone who, we maybe look at. I don't know if that's something that you guys would be up for. I think for me personally, I think to bring someone like that in, albeit he is getting on and he's old, I think he would be brilliant signing. I think obviously with his experience and his aggression, I think him and Martinez at the back would be, very tasty in my eyes. Whether it happened or not is a different story.
Yeah, this is true. It's true. Stu, what's or I will just say hi to Tom first. Sorry, Tom, for sending you the wrong link. Something went wrong on I don't know what happened, but you're here. So
no worries. We all have technical issues and everything happens. So no hard feelings, Jarvis. And
good.
I hope everyone's doing well. Stu, Phil, everybody.
Good to see you, Tomo. Good to have you back, mate.
Yeah. So maybe you Tom will have a go at the questions from the super chat from Jeff Steele. I don't know if you saw it. He's asking for we're not buying anyone big yet, and maybe we have. Maybe we will, after sales, bring in some marquee signings. Do you think that's possible at the current stage with the Ineos and the Glazers and the club and our financial, I would say, state?
I think it's certainly a different direction. It's more of a plan than I think it is maybe that they've looked at from the past and said, well, we spent big money on big players and if you tried to hurry deals up, but we always end up dragging them out anyway. And it's almost that theory that everyone has where we've always gone into a window chasing one player and then you either get the player and then, a lot of fans will be patient if you end up getting a top player. We've had it before with Sancho. We chased Maguire all that summer as well. And we've done it before in the past. And these players, when they've actually come, they have underwhelmed in maybe what they have given us as fans. And the expectations of what Manchester United should be in comparison to what they deliver or what they have delivered isn't great. Anthony is another example if you want to phrase it in terms of top money. But the thing that I've always said in football is I want football experts in Manchester United, which I think we have a lot more of them now than we did before, who have a good grasp of talent and what talent is and how you can nurture it and maybe try and develop players a lot better at Manchester United than we have done in the last couple of years. And the one thing that I think is probably key for this summer is probably going to be the way that we negotiate for players. That's the thing that I think. We've said this many a time. Why don't we cut teams down off the tree when they have a £70 million valuation for a player? Cut them down, because when they come to Manchester United for a player, it's always, we'll pay you peanuts, and we end up buckling when we sell players. We're not a good selling club, so I think that's probably a key point I want to look at to say, is things going to change structurally, or are we still going to be that same big bad Man United that are going to get bullied around for price tags? And if it comes to it, where, for example, what we're seeing with Jared Bransthwaith, for example, I think he's a decent player. I will be fair. I do think he's a decent player. I don't think he's had a lot of experience, first team Premier League experience. I think he's had one season. Correct me if I'm wrong. And I think he had one season over in Holland. But we've seen players come from that league, guys, and some can hack it, some can't. But we need to see probably a little bit more of him consistently for Everton. And then maybe he might be worth the sort of money that Everton are talking about. But stupid money like that, I hope for the sake of how Ineos have looked at Manchester United in the past to say we've overpaid for players and it doesn't work. The only time that I'd ever say you fork out that sort of money for a player is if you're 100% sure that he will be a top player. And the only way that you're ever going to know that is if you have the experts in place. The sort of money that it takes to get Bransthwaith out was the sort of money that Liverpool paid to get Van Dijk. And we all know the player that Van Dijk was when he was at Celtic, when he was at Southampton, and then we know what the player that he has been at Liverpool. That's the sort of confidence that I want in terms of the people above. And with the way that they've run their previous clubs before, especially the two that are coming in from City, they have looked at players like Harry Maguire when they bid 70, and as soon as Leicester said no, we want 80, they pulled out. That's the sort of moves that I want us to do. And then they looked at the open market, and instead they went and got Ruben Diaz the following summer, and they waited to get a player that they actually felt was good for value of the money that they wanted to pay. But yeah, I think it probably comes down to spending. If we don't have the sort of money that they're saying, I don't technically buy this that Man United don't have money. I think we do. I think, FFP and PSR affects all clubs, irrespective of where you are in the league table. But clubs always find a way to manage it. There's always a loophole in football. You can't clog every hole. It does happen. Tom Bowley's proven that for year on year at Chelsea. There's loopholes, there's ways around it. And at the end of the day, I think Man United minimally, normally anyway, spend 100 million at least. So this thing that we're going to pay, that we've only got 50 in the bank, I don't see how that's going to happen if you're going to try and buy a player like Bransthwaith. You've surely got to have more money if you're confident that you can try and buy the guy. Because Everton clearly aren't going to touch 35 million. I think even if Man United maxed it out to 50, I still don't think they'll touch it. But that's where I'm talking about, guys, in terms of if you have a max price on, say, a player like Bransthwaith, which let's say, for example, it's 50 million, I want you to take that 50 million and I want you to look in the open market and say, can we get better than this guy for 50 million in the open market? Yes or no? And if you can, go and target that other player that you can get better value for, who's going to make it just as good as an impact that he would. That's what I want to see. I want to see some proper recruitment. If it means that you go for a player and you don't end up getting them because of the price or whatever, I'm fine with that. But there's other top players out there that you can go and get. You've just got to go and find the right ones. And like I'm saying, I hope with a lot of the improvements, again, like going off of what Phil said, with the training ground and stadium and everything, I hope it is almost a rejuvenation of the football club from years and years gone by, where we have almost just been that dark, dull of a club, and we get bullied about in the transfer market, the roof leaks. Ronaldo comes back, he complains the facilities are the same as when he left 7 or 8 years ago. Like, we need to move on with the times, and because we haven't kept up to date with it over the years, sometimes you have just got to knock it all down and start from scratch. That's the problem with decaying and almost just letting it rot, and that's what we have done as a club for years. But no, I hope this way that they're going with a plan doesn't just follow suit in terms of buying players. I hope they hold clubs to account, and actually, when we sell players, we stand firm. I think that's more of a bigger point, because that's money that comes in and helps us, irrespective of what we throw out. And you take a risk when you buy any player.
Yeah. Another super chat, but we have to address the membership first.
Yeah,
We do it in the right
I
order.
was looking for them, but I couldn't see them come up.
Yeah, we have. Thank you, Jeff Steele, for gifting 5 MUFC Realist TV membership. I have to go back, but there was something wrong. There was only one person
Yeah,
gifted.
Yeah,
I don't know why,
yeah.
but sometimes YouTube do this. It's not our fault. So on behalf of YouTube, sorry. But the one to play got 1 free membership. Sorry that
Yes.
4 got to waste, but that's just the way it is. But you had a great super chat here, and just
He
bring
does.
it on. Maybe you will read it out, Stu.
Yeah, so Jeff, again, thanks very much. That's 10 Aussie dollars for you. Well, actually, for the gaffer, really. Don't spend it all on once on Snickers, Mick, please. Thanks again, Jeff. That's brilliant. That's 2 super chats from him and 5 gifted members, as Jarvis says. Sometimes YouTube doesn't actually gift all 5. Nobody seems to know why. So apologies on that one, Jeff. Anyway, Jeff just say, don't underestimate Sir Jim yet, guys. I think at the end of the transfer windows, we'll be pleasantly surprised about what he's done. He wants United back at the top, and that starts now. I tend to agree. I mean, I was listening to Tom intently, as I always do, listening to Phil. I think I actually think the Jonny Evans contract signing is one for the future in terms of coaching. So he will go and develop his role when he retires from playing. And I think he'll start doing his coaching in and around, maybe even do the under-21s, under-18, start to cut his teeth coaching. So I think it's a really good deal for us. It's a great deal for Jonny Evans. When he finishes playing, I'm sure he'll look back at his career and think, how the hell has that happened? And what have I done? Leicester, West Brom, and somehow I'm back at the top table, which is absolutely brilliant. So really pleased about that. As for Bransthwaith, and really just touching on what Jeff's saying, I think Jeff may be right. I think we actually may well be surprised. But 55 million, you top out at Bransthwaith, you don't go to 60, you definitely don't go to 70 for him. And if not, you put your checkbook away and you go and knock on Wall's door and see what you can get in terms of Max Kilman. I know he's a different type of player. Bransthwaith can play left back, which I know they're looking for cover, as well as centre back. But as Tom says, and as Phil's mentioned in the past, he's kind of unproven at this level. We didn't make the cut for England, and we're not the best at this point in time at the back. We're not even the best in midfield at the moment. Let's put it this way: when you're looking at playing Trent Alexander-Arnold in the middle of the park, you've got problems. And so I don't want to be held to ransom. No, and if Bransthwaith isn't achievable in terms of finance, sorry, Everton, that's up to you. Go and sell him somewhere else. And if there is a mug out there that's going to pay 60, 70, 80 million pounds for him, go ahead. We can't be doing that at the moment. We've got to look at it. We're not going to get Euro. We all know we're not going to get Euro. We all know that he's probably been already tapped up by Real Madrid. And if they can't buy him this year, they probably told him, sit tight, we'll take you next season. They do it all the time, So that's probably happened. So you can knock him out of the equation. Maybe we go for the Nice lad Tobido. People seem to like him. I've seen him. I think he's okay. I don't think he's a pulls up any particular trees for me. So I think it's a difficult one filling centre half, filling the quality that we had with Varane. When Varane was actually on his game, when he was fit, he was as good as anyone in the Premier League, and so was Martinez. I actually agree with Phil, and I'd take our good old friend. What's his name? Name escapes me now. Yeah, Ramos. I'd take Ramos all day long.
Ramos.
Yeah, I'd take him all day long. We've had a variety of people.
Evans is on 60, just by the way.
Yeah, but for somebody like him, if you get 12 to 18 months, maybe 2 years out of him, the type of character that he is in the dressing room, the type of leader that he is, he will he will, a little bit like Ronaldo when he came, but obviously totally different positions. He will have the respect of the players in and around him, and he will command that respect because he has standards that he won't dip below. And people look at Ramos and say, "Oh, he's too old," etc., etc., etc. Just look at Pepe, who'll be lining up for Portugal again for his umpteenth European Championship tomorrow. Ronaldo will be lining up again for his umpteenth European Championship appearance tomorrow. It doesn't matter sometimes on your age; it's about what you can bring to the team and what unity you can bring. So I take Ramos any day of the week. I think it'd be absolutely ideal. But if you can't get Bransthwaith, Max Kilman. But I'd have Max Kilman over Bransthwaith anyway, all day long.
Yeah. So again, thank you, Jeff Steele, for the super chats. And again, sorry for YouTube doing this with the membership, only one membership. I don't know why, but it's just the way it is. I can only apologize. Let's just go into the show a little bit. I want to show you guys this because this was on the topic. It's about this Bransthwaith. He said United stopped concrete negotiation with Everton when they heard that Everton only wants at least 65 to 70 millions for Bransthwaith. Man United don't want to pay the Man United tax anymore when signing players, and this comes from Fabrizio Romano. So the thing is, now we have set down the foot. Is it called that in English? The foot is down. We're not paying silly money anymore. And the thing is, everything is linked because we don't want to sign Bransthwaith. Evans is staying, and today we also heard rumors that from Florian Plettenberg that you understand that Fenerbahce Istanbul is ready to indeed interested in Victor Lindelof. So he's on his way out, and hopefully maybe Maguire is on his way out. So Evans staying, Lindelof leaving, maybe Maguire leaving. Varane is definitely leaving. We are looking at several center backs at the moment. So this is the thing, and we are linked with Todibo, Bransthwaith. We have this Lenny Yoro, the young kid from France. Also heard rumors about De Ligt, if you remember him from the Ajax days. So, and again, the rumors with
De Ligt you get for 30 million euros. I know he's not played for Bayern Munich much this season, but Noah's Upamecano. And it's and so there are nor is Kim Young May either, or me, when you consider that old Eric Dyer left Spurs and was a Bayern Munich stalwart for 6 months. So there's something not quite right at Bayern. We knew that. Whether a new lease of life away from Bayern for De Ligt would be decent. He's known to Ten Hag. But then, you start getting they will be huge, but it's up to him what he wants to do. I read he was available for 20 to 30 million euros, but then, we were going to pay 60, 70, 80 million for Frankie de Jong, weren't we? 3 seasons ago, apparently. And so that we've got bigger issues that we need to spend bigger money in the middle of the park for sure. We've all identified that. We all realise we need a striker as well. So I wouldn't say no to De Ligt. I thought he was okay at Juventus. I thought he was all right. He was excellent for Ajax, and he just hasn't had the luck or whatever at Bayern Munich. So be interesting to see what happens. Don't forget, we're going to be getting rid of Donny van der Beek, I would imagine, at some point. He will be elbowed out. Lindelof to Fenerbahce, yes, I think that's more of a Jose Mourinho thing. I think he's pushing for Lindelof to go to Fenerbahce, which is great. So there are a lot of surgery that needs doing, and we're going to have to move quickly because the Euros have started. As soon as teams come out, players are going to go away on holiday. So you've got to start cherry picking who you want now, and as the board is doing, going in and starting making these bids. But I tend to agree with Fabrizio that 75 or 65 to 70 is way too much for Bransthwaith.
Yeah, I just want to move on to Phil and ask him the question, because now there's awfully lot of things happening with the centre backs. Lindelof may be leaving, maybe Maguire leaving, Varane is leaving. We are talking about Guehi now. We've been linked to him. Gonzalo Inacho from Sporting. There's a lot of centre backs coming in. How would you like to see this cabal of centre backs line up when we start the season? And actually, how many centre backs do we need? 4 or 5, or is maybe 6 sufficient? Because we're playing the Europa League and there will be a lot of games.
Yeah, I think, to be honest, you always need at least 4, probably 5 nowadays with the congestion of fixtures that you have. So depending on what happens with obviously Lindelof and Maguire, if they both go, obviously Varane's gone. We definitely need to sign at least 2, in my opinion, with already the players that we've got. I like De Ligt. I think he would be the preferred option for me in terms of for him and Bransthwaith. I think obviously you're not going to get Bransthwaith from Everton for probably less than 60 million, but I'm glad that statement's come out and they've sort of said, you know, we've been burnt too many times now and we're not going to be paying over the odds for players that either A, you know, not the right character and, you know, that have come in and not done the business, or B, you know, players who aren't proven. So I'm glad that's been sort of put out there, and hopefully that's, you know, something that they'll continue to do, because I don't think the club can continue to hemorrhage money on signings that aren't going to come in and sort of give you instant results. So yeah, I think 2 centre backs ideally would come in, and then as well as a centre forward would be the 3 main positions. We do obviously then still need probably another couple of signings, maybe to just act as cover or just to strengthen the squad. But for me, them 3 positions would be them 3 players in them positions would be the key sort of for me, where we need to definitely strengthen after, you know, what's going on.
Yeah,
definitely.
Tom, when it comes to Jonny Evans, we know he's staying now. He's offered a new contract. And Jonny Evans, would you prefer him over Maguire and Lindelof? Or how do you see it?
Based upon this season, yeah. I'll be very honest. There were only one season that I've ever really appreciated Lindelof, and that was the one season that we had when we got to the Europa League final under Ollie. That's the only season that I think he's had is a good season. Maguire, I think you could make a case for this season. When he's been in the team, I think he's done quite well. But the one thing with Jonny Evans was he was brought in, according to form anyway, just as originally he was actually brought into Manchester United just to do fitness and hopefully find a new club. And then in the end, Erik ten Hag saw something in him. I don't know what, you know, maybe experience, or he got along with a couple of the players, and obviously he knew Darren Fletcher and he knew some of the coaching staff. So, you know, maybe there were a bit of a bond or something there that they had, and he thought, oh, you know what, I could do with him on the pre-season tour. He took him on the tour, he went over to America, saw some more of what was there, and then just saw it, well, nobody's exactly come in for him. Let's just give him a year. If we need a spare pair of hands or we need a spare centre-back, we've got one. Johnny's not exactly going to demand stupid money, and he hasn't. And at the end of the day, he's got a good quality of experience and wealth of experience that you need. And when you think about it, we've had young players play at the back. This is Kwambala, for example, when he's played at the back and stuff. Somebody like Jonny Evans is a good person that you can look at and think, well, you've been here, you've won the big trophies at Manchester United. You understand, you know, I can learn a lot off of someone like Jonny Evans. And the same that you can say, well, players like Varane, who you start to sit next to and you think, well, now I've got 4-time Champions League winners sat next to me. So surely he's got something that, you know, I can learn off of. And yeah, look, I think Jonny Evans staying on, it probably will lead more towards a coaching role, I think. But again, because of the injury crisis that we've had this season, and especially when we're moving around as many centre-backs as we're supposedly going to do, I think the ideal solution is probably that Lindelof will be sold if they can get the money that they want off Fenerbahce or whoever. I think they're probably going to bring in one. They're bringing in a centre-half anyway. And then I think the second, I think they ideally want 2. I think Johnny's almost a new signing for him. Sign him up for another year and almost be the spare man. I think they're going to bring in a new one anyway, whether that's Bransthwaith, whoever. And then I think which is almost going to be like Lindelof / Varane's replacement. And then I think they're going to, if they get the sort of money that they want from Maguire, and somebody comes in for Maguire, I think whatever money they get from Maguire, they're going to use to go buy someone else for whatever price tag that is. And I think they'll end up bringing in 2. Then they'll just keep Jonny Evans. So then effectively you've got 3 new centre halves for the full season. Again, the only difference is Jonny Evans might play a bigger part than he did last season. And that just means, well, for the following summer, we rejuvenate funds again and we go and buy another centre half who then takes Jonny Evans' role. And it's almost like one in, one out and sweep and swoop around. But I think a lot of it with Jonny Evans anyway, I think it just comes down to experience. Experience, he's got a decent wealth of it. You're going to lose a bit of experience at the back with Varane. You can say with Casemiro, if he goes in front of them, you lose the protection in front of you, but you also lose the experience, the reading of the game. You're going to lose that. And the one thing that I'll say with Jonny Evans is when he ever got called upon in the team, it was always influential. I could see that he understood what his role was in the team. He didn't moan, he didn't whinge and whine and complain as soon as players come back from fitness. He understood what his role was. And, keeping him around for another year, I can understand it based upon what I've just said, shifting players around. But at the end of it all, I think he probably will just take up a coaching role and then probably go on from there. And whether he stays at United or not, I don't know. But no, he did well last season. I think, to be honest with you, he's one of the few players that I would say from last season. He probably deserves to stay out of all of them.
I think I agree when it comes to Jonny Evans. The thing is with Jonny Evans, I always felt, I don't want to say secure or safe when he comes on the pitch because he has some calmness on the ball. He's composed and he has some experience. And, utilizing him at the best way, not playing him every game in, week out, but actually playing him to come in to secure a win when we won 1-0 up, maybe 2-0 up at the end of the game, playing the last 10 minutes, getting some composure on the back four when we're under pressure, come in with his experience and help us to get the win. And I think that will be a good thing to have. And also when it comes to experience and center backs, we see players at a high age playing very well. Hummels at Borussia Dortmund is one example. We have Thiago Silva at Chelsea, one of the best center backs. So it shouldn't hinder Jonny Evans if you can utilize him in the right way. And then Jonny Evans can just keep on playing, but not every week. He has to know his role. And I think Jonny Evans accepted. And he's on 60 to 65 K a week. And that's okay. In my opinion, when it comes, because he's won the Premier League, he's played for Man United in different eras, and he has a lot of experience in the Premier League. So it's a good player to have in the squad. We have a super chat again from Jeff Steele, and I will give this to you, Stu. After sales, get De Jong and Ivan Toney. How do you see it? Would you go for De Jong and Ivan Toney?
No and no. Definitely not De Jong. I never wanted De Jong anyway. I defy any fan to tell me, and I put this to people 2 and a bit years ago, why you would want De Jong, because I said at the time when people were going De Jong crazy, if you remember, everything was Frankie De Jong, and I said, and I asked this question on a live stream, and nobody came back to me, nobody could give me an answer, and that was, why weren't you banging on about wanting Frankie De Jong 2 years ago, 12 months ago? Why all of a sudden we're linked with him? Why is he the buzz player that you want? And nobody could give me a reason. I understood Ten Hag's reasoning for wanting him, and I could see where he would have fitted into the team. Would he have been the value of the finance at that particular time? Would that have added up? No, it wouldn't. And ever since then, something's gone wrong with him, personally and individually. And he's not had a good time at Barcelona since. He's been injured a lot. I think he does need a move around for sure. but I don't think it's at Manchester United. I don't think we're the team for him. As for Ivan Toney, really good striker. No, I probably score goals, but is he any better than Højlund as a player? Is he more of a finished article than Højlund as a player? I'm not 100% sure on that one. So I think if we're looking at strikers and we're looking for somebody to come in and mentor Højlund, then it's got to be Harry Kane. There's no two ways about it. He's the only one that you're going to spend money on. He's going to guarantee you 25 goals a season. Guarantee you 25 goals a season. Højlund gets you 20 goals a season. That, we're already halfway there to the 76 that Steph was talking about a few weeks ago. And then with Garnacho popping in with 8 to 10 goals a season, Anthony, if he stays, coming in with 6 to 7 goals a season, we get a goal scoring midfielder. Then Bruno comes in with 11 goals a season. Then you are getting a much better return on your money. So really to mentor Højlund, you do need somebody like a Kane rather than a Benjamin Sesko as well. Look, I like Sesko. He's a great striker, but you can't have both. You can either have Højlund or Sesko. You can't have both. You've got to have this player around him that can demonstrate to him, this is why I've been so successful. This is why for the past 8 years I've scored over 30 goals a season. This is why I can. This is why I've done it. So that's what you're buying with Harry Kane. People are going about, he's a trophy killer, etc., etc., etc. Who knows? We could be the club that ignites the Harry Kane trophy, juggernaut. I just feel that if you were to bring in Ivan Toney or an Ollie Watkins, I love these players, by the way, individually. It's either Toney or Højlund. It's either Watkins or Højlund. You've got to find somebody who balances. Look, Philadelphia, having a strike partner or somebody you can learn off all the time, day in, day out, is bearing in mind Phil was lucky. There was Cantona wasn't around. Well, I suppose he was in the youth, wasn't he? You were youth then.
Yeah, Cantona was there when I was there, but obviously I was only a young kid.
Weren't you? Yeah, but then you got York and Cole that you were looking at, hadn't you? Sheringham was in and around when you were there. So you got some absolute world-class strikers. And I hate the phrase world-class, by the way. You all know that. But there is a difference in being able to finish. Football and striking and Phil will tell you this more than anybody, it's about sometimes one touch, one goal. And Harry Kane demonstrated that last night, except he hit the fucking bar. He had one touch in front of goal and he should have buried it. We all know this. And that's the strike. That's what a striker is. That's the essence.
But to be fair to Kane, he did everything right. There was a fantastic save from the goalkeeper. Right. So
But my point being, it's one touch, one goal sometimes in games. And Harry Kane was almost there with it. Højlund's not there yet. So when you're looking at a striker, you have to look at it from a match. And Harry Kane is the only real feasible option to get the very, very best out of Højlund and guarantee you 25 plus goals.
Yeah.
And that's what we need. I'm sorry to say. Oh, he's here again.
Yeah, before we go to Jeff Seal's super chat, I just have one comment, Stu, when it comes to your first question about Frankie de Jong. No one talked about a type of player like de Jong, but actually a lot of football fans did, but I didn't know it was Frankie de Jong. We all wanted type of players, and like players like Busquets, Xavi, Modric, Pirlo. A lot of them, people wanted.
My point was, but my point was that they didn't specifically ask for Frankie de Jong. If you said to me, if we and let me just clarify this quickly. If you said if Paulinho walks through the door tomorrow, and you said to me, "Wow, Stu, Paulinho, I've been talking about him for 18 months. I know what I'm talking about. I know the type of profile of player that I'm talking about." And I listen to a lot of the fans. I've got great respect for all fans, but they couldn't give me anybody, and that shows to me that you're kind of just jumping on a bandwagon you don't need to be on. Look at something different. Look at something in and around that will offer you better value for money, but sometimes at a lesser cost, really, because there's a bit, they've got a bit more about him. Harry Kane won't be cheap, by the way. We know this. We know he'll come in at big money, but he will guarantee you that type of thing. So.
Yeah. Let's go to Jeff Steele's super chat. He says, "Guys, I'm sorry, but does actually anyone watch football anymore? Maguire is hopeless. We conceded easy goals every time he plays. He's a must sell." So I'll give this to you, Phil. Is Maguire a must sell, or do you see hope with the old slab?
I don't know if he's a must sell. I think obviously this year he's sort of, for what he went through in terms of, he did go through a bad period. He was making a lot of mistakes. He got dropped out of the side. But I think, you've got to give him credit. He's shown great mental strength with the amount of abuse and, stuff that gets said about him when he's been called upon. And obviously his performances, more so in the last sort of 6 to 12 months, have been quite good. And I think he's sort of bounced back and sort of proved people wrong a little bit. So I don't think he's a must sell. I think if he feels like, he wants to be playing regular football, and obviously Ten Hag isn't going to offer that every single game, and he wants to move on, then I wouldn't be against him, moving on and going somewhere else. I think obviously he's been a good servant for us overall, but I think it'll just depend on, how it plays out, whether is he going to be in Ten Hag's plans, and obviously if he's going to be playing regular, because I think, for Maguire, in order for him to be, keep getting selected for England, he needs to be playing regular for his club. So if that's not going to be...
But Phil, do you think Maguire has the right attributes for a Ten Hag type of style of play with a high line and pressing?
Not really. I don't. Obviously, we know his strengths and we know his weaknesses. Obviously, his pace is a massive problem. And in the Premier League, 9 times out of 10, you're playing against teams that have got people who can run in behind and sort of penetrate. So I think that is why, obviously, we've seen a lot of mistakes be highlighted with Maguire, because he does obviously lack that little bit of pace that you need.
But I wouldn't even call it pace. For me, I think it's a little bit more of his ability to understand what's going on quick enough. He's a little bit slow when he to I don't know the situation. Sometimes you see him just walking around, jogging around, turning his head in the wrong direction. He doesn't scout enough, and I feel that's a problem, because you got to have a quick mind.
Yeah, I mean, I take your points. I think obviously it's a strange one, really, because when you watch him for England, he looks really good, and obviously he's been, Gareth Southgate's sort of main man, if you like, for England for a number of years. So, and obviously that's international level, which you would think would be a step up from obviously, playing in the Premier League every week, depending on who you're playing against. But yeah, I just think at the moment now it's sort of a make or break moment for him. If Ten Hag sort of says to him, you're not going to be the main man, and if we do sign another couple of centre halves, then obviously he probably might look at that and say, I want to be playing regular, and it might be the right time for him to maybe move on. As I say, I don't think it's been a massive success from when we signed him. I think obviously he's had good moments and bad moments. So for me, I would, if it was me, I would want to move on and be playing regular if I wasn't going to be playing. Yeah. So it would be my take on it. I just don't know if Ten Hag sees him being that man who he can, play that style of football with regular.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think you summed it up well, and to change club would be a great thing for Maguire and his career, I would say, and probably both clubs, if we can get a little bit of money for Maguire, maybe 20 million would be sufficient, and we can get 189,000 pounds a week off the book. So I think that would be good.
It's a small anecdote, by the way. Just a very, very tiny anecdote. We paid our better football not playing out from the back. Our better football was not playing out from the back. When you look at the FA Cup final, our first match against, we didn't play it out from the back half as much. Our football was played further down the field. Just a thought. So Ten Hag might be looking at this and thinking to himself, is playing out from the back the way forward. Just because everybody else does it, we don't have to do that as an organisation, as a team. We don't have to do that. Is it the type of football he wants to play? I don't know. Might have completely changed his mind over the summer period. It's hard to say, really. Just to throw that little part into the mix.
I just want to bring this up from Jonathan Lilienberg, coming in with 5 membership. Let's hope you to give them out this time. We have Will, Man Utd, big up with the new membership. Day in, day out comes in with the new membership. Andrew Brown, Sally Red Devil 7, and the Living Prophecy Leader. Big up, welcome to the team. Remember to thank Jonathan Lilienberg for the fantastic gifts to the MUFC Realist TV. What do you call it? Community.
Yes.
Community.
Well done, Jonathan.
Yeah. Okay, I'm just gonna scroll down so I know all the chats because I need to go up and down. We are a little bit late when it comes to the comments, and I've been pretty rude today. I haven't said hi to all the people in the chat. Jeff Steele, obviously, Lucky Singh is here. We have Brendan Chappell, Trevor Wade. Trevor Wade just left, but the big up, Trevor Wade, you're a legend. He needed to go. He needed to tend to his roses. Sometimes we need to tend to our roses. And Rashid, and he came in with a big question now for, but I will save it for later because we will do a Q&A in a little bit. So that will be good. So people, if you have questions for Phil, if you have questions for Stu or for Tom,
Phil's unfortunately got to drop out in about 10 minutes.
Okay, let's just focus the next 10 minutes on Phil then. So, Phil, your career now. We saw Eriksen score a goal for Denmark after he basically dropped dead 1,100 days ago in the last Euros, and he came back. He won the Scudetto. He won a lot of things. He won in the FA Cup with Man Utd. He's been a brilliant player. And coming back from a really tough injury, and you know everything about it, coming back from an injury. So how would you say Eriksen's mentality has been in this situation and being able to come through this tragedy in a way?
Yeah, no, he's been absolutely fantastic. I think the way he sort of managed himself, coming back from such a sort of traumatizing incident, and the way that he sort of got back to a level where he's, obviously he's getting towards the latter stage of his career, but he's came back and he's still got the, for me, he still looks like he's got the same drive to want to play week in, week out. Obviously he's still got the technique and the ability to pick passes out, which he's always been one of his strengths. And yeah, yesterday I watched a bit of the Denmark game and he was sort of dictating the play. He looked like he was the main man. He looked the best player on the pitch. And obviously scored the goal, which was great for him, as I say, coming back and obviously probably having, bad memories from the last time he was playing in a European competition to go and score a goal in the opening game. Must have been a dream come true, especially, in front of, your home fans and stuff. It's such a good feeling. And obviously I made up for him because when you do go through something so traumatic and sort of massive setback, it is really difficult to sort of find that, resilience and character to get yourself back to the levels that you obviously was prior to that. So, kudos to him. He's done fantastic, and hopefully, again, another player who might be on the move, maybe, in this transfer window, depending on what happens and who comes in and goes. But again, he's been a great professional. He's probably been a player that, some of the younger players have looked up to and learned a lot from, because he is the type of player where, we're saying about Højlund learning from, somebody on the training ground. I think Eriksen would be that type of player where on a training ground, he would be somebody who you could watch and see how he obviously, goes about his business. And he seems to me as though as well, he would be someone who was, really good with the younger players in terms of advice and giving them some sort of, valuable, tips on how to do things. So again, great player and wish him all the best depending on what happens this summer.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. But when it comes to his injury and being out from football and coming back, I don't know, he was out for almost a year. He started playing for Brentford. How is it to come back? Do you feel like it's another like what do you call it, debut, or to come back again? Do you lose every experience you have and it start on scratch again?
I wouldn't say that you lose everything. You obviously still have your instincts, and obviously your technique and your stuff never leaves you. I think it's just more of a mindset. It's more of a mental approach. After going through something like that, you sort of fighting against demons that you maybe don't think you're going to be the same player. You might not feel like you've got the same attributes that you maybe once had. But I think once you get to a part where that your game starts to come back and you get your passing range and you play them first few games and you get through it and you're back involved with the training and the lads, I think everything sort of slowly starts to, come back to normal. And as I say, when he came back and obviously went to Brentford, I remember actually watching the game when Brentford played at Old Trafford and he was absolutely exceptional. He's vision and obviously he's forward thinking, and that's what I really like about Eriksen. I think for all his criticism that people might have on him about obviously his legs might be gone and he's not good enough to play in the middle of the park because he's not fit enough or whatever, I take that on board. But what he does do when he does get on the ball, he always tries to play forward and he always tries to play a ball that will break the lines and get the team going forward, which is for me something that I really, really admire in a midfielder. I think somebody who can pass the ball backwards and sideways is, for me, not really gonna, get you where you need to be. Somebody who's always on the half turn and looking to play forward is far more beneficial for me in a team, especially when you want to be, going forward in an offensive sort of team. He's somebody who over the years has proven that he's got that in his locker.
Yeah. Stu, do you have any questions for Phil?
I've got loads of questions for Phil. Absolutely, tons of them. I tend to just quickly. I do tend to agree with the. I've got a sick daughter, by the way, by the looks of stuff. Anyway, what was I going to say? Yes, so I tend to agree with Phil when it comes to certain elements when you come out from a mental point of view, when you come out from quite a long injury. A few years ago, very small, I did my quad, and I still think I can feel it even today. Every time I take the pitch and I feel a twinge in my leg, I think to myself, oh my God, is my quad going to go? Because if it ever goes again, then that'll be it really for me at my age. So I kind of, to see Eriksen come on and do what he did and what he's done for this season, and playing, by the way, in the number 10 role, which is where his preferred position is. I thought he was excellent. So, just a quick question for you, Phil. What was your superstitions in the changing room? I don't have any really, apart from my number. I have to wear number 8, but I don't really have any. Did you have any specific ones?
No, not really. I don't think there was anything that I sort of, did every single game. There might have been periods of time where I'd maybe go through, putting a particular shin pad on, or as I say, there was nothing where I'd, religiously do before a game. I might have gone through stages where I've maybe had a couple of good games by doing something and I've tried to replicate it. But I can't actually think of something off the top of my head what I used to do sort of every single game, or maybe the pre-match meal. I used to enjoy a certain type of meal and stuff, but that was pretty much set by the club because we used to eat all of us used to sort of eat similar types of food. So you just have a select, couple of dishes, and whichever one you preferred, that would be your pre-match meal type of thing. So other than that, not really, Stu. I just used to, get sort of in the zone and just sort of go out and try and give me best every single time. That was it.
Yeah. Mine is wherever I go.
Sorry.
Yeah, no, wherever I go club-wise, I have to have an 8. I've got to wear an 8. So I will say to the Worcestershire team that if I get selected, number 8, otherwise I'm not coming.
Yeah, put it in the contract.
Yeah, that's what I'm going to have to say.
Yeah.
Phil, we're going to let you go then, pal. You got an early start in the morning. Great to have you. You're always welcome. So if you're around next Monday or the Monday after, let us know. And you can always
quickly as well. I did actually get a response from Lee.
Brill.
But only sort of quite recently. So I did message him like a couple of weeks ago, and he must just not have picked it up. So, but he definitely said that he will try and get on at some point when he's available. So hopefully, maybe in a couple of weeks we could maybe both get on at the same time, or if you want to change, that's fine.
No, it'd be great to have you both on actually.
Yeah. Well, that's fine. We'll sort that for maybe in a couple of weeks. That's not a problem.
And keep us in the loop as well if you do go and play for Legends. Let us know. Keep
mate. Yeah, as I say, obviously I was speaking to Stu off camera about maybe playing some games for the Legends. Did get offered by Russell Beards more to go on that, so that would be great. As I say, they've just played recently in Malta, which looked really good. I obviously a bit gutted I couldn't make that one. But there will be some going forward, sort of. So I'll obviously let you know, and if there is any games that are maybe closer to you, you maybe come down.
Let us know. Yeah, we'll come down and watch. Yeah, that'd be brilliant. Yeah, it'd be absolutely brilliant. That would, Phil. Top man.
Yeah. All right. Appreciate it. Have a good rest. See you soon.
Take care, buddy.
Yeah.
Bye.
Phil.
Yes, now Phil is gone. Sorry, Tom, for keep you waiting. I have a lot of news coming in from Rushmano. My Twitter account is beeping all the time. So thank you, Rushmano. I promised Jeff that we will come into one Aussie news, and I will just share this one right away. And before he leaves, let me just share the screen. Here it is. Add to stage. So basically it says first summer signing, James Overy, 16-year-old right back, scored 3 in 6 appearances in the non-senior league, England and Australia, eligible United fan with an awesome Aussie mullet. So we have a Aussie in Man United. So a big up Jeff Steele.
Yeah, fantastic.
Do we have any history with Australian players in Man United? Do you remember anyone?
Not that I can think of.
I'm trying to think.
What did Tom? Did we have Harry Kewell back in the day when he was young?
Might have done as a young player. I don't know.
I think as a young player.
I think as a young player we might have done.
Yeah.
Tim Howard's obviously New Zealand, isn't it? Oh no, he's American. Sorry,
American. Yeah, Tim's American.
No, when I think of Aussie, I think of Leeds. But Leeds have
a lot.
When I think of Australian players, I think of like Tim Cahill. One of them.
Harry Kewell.
That's another one.
Bosnich. There you go.
There we go.
He kind of he's fallen under the radar, hasn't he? He wouldn't go down at legendary status, would he? No. As he was a cokehead. Yeah. And I think he was an hour late for his first ever Manchester United training session.
Wow.
And Roy Keane let him know, you're at Manchester United now. You don't do that.
No. Going through the latest news, we have this one with from Rushmano. We said Valencia has made an offer for Mason Greenwood, according to Simon Stone's the Daily Mail Sport. Is there any chance in hell that Mason Greenwood will come back to Man United, or is it just the right move just to sell him right away? I will give this to Tom because he haven't had a lot to say in the last 10 minutes.
Me personally, I think from what I understand with the situation, he's burnt a lot of bridges with people at Man United. In particular, when Richard Arnold and John Murtough led the football club from the football and the finance side, he burnt the bridges with both of them. He was very unhappy with how Richard Arnold handled the situation. They led that sort of internal review into what they were going to do with him. When the charges obviously were dropped, and listen, you can make your own opinion on what happened in the situation. We all have an opinion. But the way that they ended up coming down to it was they saw that they were under Man United. The problem with Man United was they was under a lot of pressure from a lot of the sponsors, but the main sponsor that were under pressure from was Adidas. And the Adidas deal at the time hadn't actually been signed up they hadn't renewed it for 10 years. Like they have the agreement now, 10 years for £1 billion. So there was obviously under some constraints with a brand, the big sporting brand. They obviously haven't got a long-term agreement with them. And then if they put pressure on Man United to say, well, this is going to harbour our brand if we're seen to influence in the sort of situation that happened with Mason Greenwood, like at the end of the day, the problem in football, people look at football and they look at it as a sport, but I think the business side of football is taking over more now in sport. I do think a lot of people, they go out in the world and they think they're an expert on how football clubs are run and the finances of it and everything. Listen, you can be a brilliant person in terms of finance or marketing, but in football business, it's completely different. You've got obviously what we call the back page sheet, which is where obviously you have player costings, transport, all the different factors that go into a football club, facilities, keeping a building running, keeping Old Trafford running, maintenance, all these different compartments go into it. The thing with Greenwood, for me anyway, for the season that he's had, pull club's pants down. Seriously, pull the pants down. 60 million. 60 million pounds. I don't have the intention of selling him for that.
Okay.
60 million pounds. And then when clubs start raking, and the problem with someone like Greenwood is he's got a lot of clubs that are interested in him. They'll fight against each other because he's young. He's done quite well at Getafe. He's still got enough development in him. People might agree with it or not. You could probably maybe rehabilitate some of the issues that he's had in his personal life. And if you put that to bed, he's abroad. The media spotlight isn't as hot abroad as it is in England. We already know, guys, if he comes back to England, you know what English football is like with, the name chanting and, it's not a nice thing to say. There probably will be some racial slurs that will get thrown at him, and it will happen, unfortunately. And obviously, with the circumstances, we know what sort of slander and everything that will be put against him. I don't think he wants to come back himself personally. I think he's happy in Spain, from what I know anyway, at Getafe. He enjoyed his time there. He's almost set up home there. He's back with his ex-partner and everything, and they've almost moved home to Spain. So, but for someone like Greenwood, for me, like I say, I'd put a ballpark figure of 60 million up, and then I'd just let the 3 or 4 or 5 different clubs that are interested in him, Getafe, Valencia, Juventus, all these little clubs, one say 30, right, 30, what do you say, Juventus? 35, 40, 45, 50, and get up to the sort of figure that you want. Whoever gives you the most money, bang, see you later, take the money for him. And that's it. Yeah. Just create a bidding war. Other clubs do it to us all the time. We're always in bidding war for players, guys. We are. So go and do it back to other clubs, like I was saying before about when clubs lowball you. Go and lowball them. Go and lowball them, break the prices down, slash it in half.
The problem there is, Tom, all the clubs know that we can't take Greenwood back. We are almost forced to sell him because of the circumstances of what happened.
Yeah, and that's the thing, though, Jarvis, where I'm saying if you're negotiating with one club, it's a bad solution because that one club can use that as a bargaining tool. But when you've got 4 or 5 clubs, they're not going to be thinking about that. They're just going to be thinking, oh, shit, we've got to outbid so-and-so. We want this player. Do we want the player really badly or not? And if they're going to pay the sort of money that they're prepared to bid, which is, let's say, around about 40 million, then they're going to think, oh, well, shit, if Juventus come in with 45, what's an extra 5 million on top or a couple of million on top? Or we'll go 47.5 or whatever. And then suddenly, like I say, you create that bidding war, and that problem that you have there, again, the only thing with Greenwood is, as a player, he's talented, he's still young, he's proved that, obviously, with the off-the-field issues and the time away from football, it's not taken away his talent. He's still a good player on his day. So people will take a gamble on him. Yeah. And in a league where, like I said, there's not that media hotspot, me personally, if I had to say where he'd be perfect, I think he'd be perfect where he is. Perfect where he is. Because the only thing that you've ever seen with Mason Greenwood is there's a couple of clips that go on him on social media or whatever. He scores a decent goal or whatever. That's it. He gets left alone. Manchester United's name don't even get mentioned about him anymore. For this most of the season, guys, have we really mentioned about Mason Greenwood? Me personally, I forgot he even played for Man United for large parts this season. Yeah. I really did. But I understand what you say, Jarvis. There isn't a way back for him. I don't think there is. No, they put an agreement in with Adidas already. I think, love it or hate it, I think Ratcliffe will probably look at it more from a business and brand perspective, and he will probably look at it and say, well, we can get a decent wedge of money for him anyway. He's a young player, so in terms of PSR and FFP, it's a perfect solution. Get 40, 50 million for him. And at the end of the day, you've got another cash injection there. 40, 50 million pounds buys you a player in this market. It could buy you Mark Gahey, Jared Bransthwaith, whoever you want. It could buy you that player. It could buy you Olise. We don't know. And at the end of the day, that's what I'm talking about in terms of just pull clubs' pants down. We've done it to us for years.
Yeah.
Years we've sat there and suffered and slugged it out, guys, with City for players, Chelsea for players, Arsenal, Real Madrid, Barcelona, whoever, you name it. Do it back to them. Don't get this nostalgia that Man United can't negotiate. We can. There's ways and means that you can do it. And the way that you can do it, create a bidding war. 4 or 5 clubs want him. Put, I would say, a stupid price up. They'll lowball you, and then they'll just fight against each other. That's how it happens. And then whoever gives you the most money, closest to whatever you want. If my ballpark figure is 60 million, brilliant. If somebody's prepared, if some club's prepared to pay 55 for him, because other clubs have put them under pressure to do it, bang, take it straight away. And as long as he's happy to go there, do it.
Yeah. Stu, do you want to add something when it comes to Greenwood?
Well, we can't keep him.
No.
No. I think for me, if he comes back, I'd find it exceptionally difficult to have anything to do with him, or and I'll be very, very disappointed in the club. I know it's he's an asset, etc. And unlike Tom says, I don't think he can survive in the UK. And I think he knows he can't survive in the UK. He's had a season out in Getafe now. Spain's particularly bad for racism, but he seems happy and he seems settled. And we told him if there's 4 or 5 clubs that are interested in him, set the asking price at 60 million and see where you get. I tend to think he'll only go for about 30, 35, but it's still 30, 35 million plus add-ons. Plus, we'll get a sell-on clause on him. Is all that we can realistically expect. It depends what he wants as well from his career. Does he want a career? We don't know how money savvy he was. He earned a lot of money at Manchester United. We don't know how savvy he is in terms of his finances. We were still paying him when he was on suspension, so he was getting paid for doing nothing. Quite a heavy salary. We're paying his salary out of Getafe. So he's amassed a fortune while he's got this cloud over him. And, whether you like it or not, you can't unhear what you heard. You can't. Yeah. And you can't unsee what you saw. And unfortunately, it was damning evidence. And, for the rights and the wrongs of why he got away with it and why she dropped all the charges, etc., 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 he appears to be guilty, and we can't have that back at our club. You've got to stand. You have to make a stand in life, and the human being, you have to put a human element to it, not a sporting element to it sometimes. So I don't think Ratcliffe can have him back at all, and I think Greenwood knows he can't come back. He knows the fans won't accept him completely, and he's going to have to stay where he is. And if the deal is agreed with Valencia in terms of personal terms, which is fine, we get the decent fee for him. We let him go. It's the only thing we can do.
Yeah, and Stu, even worst case scenario, if you don't get the sort of money that you're wanting for him, fine. And what I'd do, like I've said, be that £60 million ballpark figure. Getafe would take him on loan again in a heartbeat. They've already given the terms to Man United. Man United have got a good working relationship with Getafe. They're happy to loan players to and from club, and if Getafe have a decent player that emerges, Man United would do business with them. They've got a good relationship with them. They've offered them the exact same terms. Man United have almost used that as, we'll put it on the back burner for now. If we need to use the option, we've got the option to send him back there. He's enjoyed his time there, so I think he'd be happy to stay there another year. And all I would do then is let him stay there another year. If he does the exact same thing again for a full season, like he had done, and he
Goes
performed
up.
quite well, fine. The price goes up.
Yeah,
Mm.
totally agree.
Yeah, and I just say to every single CEO, sporting director, any football club that wants to buy him the following summer, I say, you fucked up, lads. You could have got him for a lot cheaper of a price. It'd have been your player last season. You fucked up. The price goes up. We're Man United. We're not mugs. So we know a good player when we see one. We'll negotiate. Fine, 80 million euros. We're not paying anywhere near. And if they said they're not paying anywhere near, that's fine. Don't buy him then. It's as simple as that. And Man United, somebody, if he has another one good season next season, somebody will buy him. Somebody will buy him. They will do, because they'll take a risk on the guy. Clubs take risks on players. They do. We do it. We might do it with Bransthwaith. Bransthwaith, I would say, is a risk when you're paying over 50. When you're paying over £50 million, it is a risk. Considering that, correct me if I'm wrong, guys. I don't think we paid over 50 for Martinez, did we?
45.
I don't even think. I think
it was more than. I think it was like 45 plus 5.
45.
Yeah,
I
mean,
yeah.
I don't even think we paid over 50. Was it for Varane? I don't think we did we? 45?
No,
40?
Varane was 30, wasn't he? 35.
30,
something
35
like that.
or something like that. Like that's what I mean in terms of the quality of the market is different when you base it upon experience as well. But our issues that we've always said about guys with selling players is we don't get the sort of money that we want. Alanga, for the age that he's at and the potential that he can go on and have, irrespective of what level of football he's at right now and what level of club he's at, the bargaining chip there with Man United was, he's a potential player, he's got so many caps, he's a Swedish international. Sell the fucking player. Market him properly. If you market players properly, you get better prices for them. City sell players for 20, 30 million who don't even have a senior cap. Never mind international caps at football, at high level football. So at the end of the day, it can be done. I see it happen all the time at other clubs. So why it can't happen at this club is irrespective of it. And that's what we said at the start of the stream, guys, where they've almost put this blinker out there to say, we're not going to get mugged off in the market anymore. If we don't like a price and you don't want to negotiate with us and do a deal with us, fine, we'll go somewhere else. And for me, guys, if we walked away from the Bransthwaith deal, I'm not gonna chuff in, be worried about it, because the other players that we're linked with, to be honest with you, I rate Guy better than I do him. I like Tadibo better than him. I even if we went up north and we went to Wolves and went and got Max Kilman, I think Max Kilman's quite a better player than him. He's got experience. If I'm going to pay top dollar for people, I want proven credentials, which is experience, quality, and I know what I'm buying.
But Tom, I heard rumors from Stu that he didn't like Max Kilman, or was it the other way around? Stu,
I love Max Kilman. He's the one.
I know.
Yeah,
He's
Max Kilman's the one.
Guy.
If we could get Kilman in, I'd be well happy.
Yeah,
couldn't use my kind of guy at Wolves, if I'm being honest with you, but
yeah, I like Kenya.
We could have got him years ago, guys. I was saying this when he was at Atletico Madrid. He was a decent player, and that one game at the start of the season set the tempo for our whole season. The way that he just glided through midfield, drifted past players, and for people when they say that they don't have low sense of gravity, a guy I think is about 6 foot. I think he is, just past players if they're not there. Simple. Makes football. Some players, when you look at them on the air, they make football look so easy. Even though at this level of football, it's so hard to make it look. But again, guys, like I say, with players like Greenwood and stuff, irrespective, even with when we talk about Lindelof, Maguire, the fees that we could have got for Maguire last summer, like why we don't use the marketing tools again to say, well, he's an England international, he's got so many caps. If he didn't get the injury, guys, he'd be at the Euros right now. Let's face it, he would. Use the tools that you can to market these players properly and see what sort of money you can get for them.
Okay. Yeah. Stu, how long do you got? I know you're a little bit conscious on time.
Yeah, I need to probably shoot now, I'm afraid.
Okay, I know your daughter is not feeling well. So
early, mate. Yeah, so I'll have to go, guys. But enjoy the rest of the show, and I'll buzz you tomorrow.
Yeah, no problem. Yeah.
Cheers, guys. Bye, guys. Good up. Bye.
Cheers. Bye.
Bye. Oh, I'll go now. See you guys.
Okay, then it was just you and me, Tom. I have a
No
couple more
worries.
news before we wrap it up. This one comes in with Micheal Olise. Man United now have a clear transfer green light for Micheal Olise because there's an ex-manager who's in love with the player. And this player is, let's just see his quote, and you can just read it yourself. Here is from Ragnick. Let's see if it's Ralph Ragnick comes out after the Austria game and say he has never been called up by France, but I love Micheal Olise. He's an exceptional player. He's quick, he's strong, dribbler, technically gifted. He works when he loses the ball.
Yeah.
And we know when it comes to Ragnick, he has been recommending players for us when he was our interim manager. And we talk about Nkunku, Guardiol, Julian Alvarez, Luis Diaz, Konrad Leimer, Enzo Fernandez. So the guy basically knows what he's talking about.
Yeah.
Would you go for Olise?
To be honest with you, I would blow whatever money it takes to get him. I'm not sure that he's a top player. That what I said before about it with the Van Dijk sort of money. If you spend that sort of money on a player, you have to be sure of what you're getting. I've seen enough of what I've seen with the guy. I've seen the guy in England at the England under-21 squad. Fucking rip some of the tournaments apart. I've seen what the guy can do at Palace. Albeit he's had massive issues with injury. If you can rehabilitate his injuries and you can find a solution for those problems, and you keep him fit for a full season, he's a world-class player. He's a very, very dangerous player with a good coach next to him. And last summer, I'll be honest, Jarvis, pardon my French, I was absolutely shitting myself when I thought Pep were going to get hold of him. I really was shitting myself because I thought City have done quite. John Stones was an injury-prone player at Everton. They sorted his fitness issues out, sorted his problems out, and suddenly Jarvis is one of the best defenders in the league, in the world, maybe. And Olise, I think, can do the exact same thing. And from what I know anyway, the way that it works, if you want to get Olise, you have to contact Crystal Palace and say that you wish to trigger the release clause. You can either pay the fee, which is £60 million, or you can negotiate the fee, but you can't speak to Olise until a fee's agreed. That's the agreement, and that's the way that it works. So this nostalgia that when journalists are putting it out there about Olise to say that he's 90% done to go to Chelsea is bollocks. Because there's not even been a bid going for the guy or an agreement, a triggering of his contract, nothing. So this thing that you think that you're just going to be able to agree a fee and then straight away you're just going to ring Micheal Olise and his family up and his agent and say, come to Chelsea, come to Man United, come to wherever. It doesn't happen. It's not going to happen that quick. It's complicated. But the thing, Jarvis, that I like about this guy is why are Crystal Palace playing this so well to keep their most prized asset? Why? Because they know that they've got something special there. A lot of clubs don't do this, what they're doing with Olise right now. It is almost like an entrapment of the player. You're entrapping him because you're not letting him go speak to whoever before you agree anything. But it's right for the football club because they get the fee that they want for the player. And then in the end, it'll be right for Olise because he could have 3 or 4 clubs that might trigger that clause. And then he just basically walks to whichever one and says, right, I'll pick one. The only issue, though, that I have with Olise is Chelsea and Todd Bowley throw money around like lunatics. And he lives in London already. And I think he's settled there. The only saving grace that with Olise, if he ever came to Man United, is he was a boyhood Manchester United fan when he was very young. That's the only thing that I will say. But out of all these players that we've been linked with all summer, Jarvis, the only one of them that I've ever been 100% sure about that I'd take whatever price it took, 60 million euros is the price, I'd trigger it tomorrow. I really would trigger it tomorrow. I'm not sure of this player.
I see George T. Best comes in with the question and say what makes him so good, because I heard a lot of people are critical to Olise some say he's injury prone, and there's question marks and a gamble for that price when it comes to this. Why do you rate him in so much? What's his special qualities?
There's two reasons why I rate the guy. One of them because I know a lot about him and his family personally, and the second is what I see on the football pitch. I just like what I see on the football pitch. He's a proper technical player. I think he can work in a lot of different styles and a lot of different systems. You've seen with Glasner, a proper coach with a proper style, Jarvis. He's thriving. He is thriving. He's flying at the moment under a new coach. I saw what I saw with the guy and what he did at Anfield when he was playing when he played up on one side against Trent, and then on the other side, I think it was against Robertson or Tsimikas. I can't remember who played in the game when they won 1-0. He's played in big games this season. City away, I thought he's played quite well in games this season. Big games and big moments, the guy turns up and he's a good player. The one thing that I like about him most on the pitch, anyway, is his awareness of where the spaces are. As an attacker, you can have all the pace in the world. You can be brilliant with the ball at your feet, Jarvis. But if you don't know where the spaces are in the pitch, you're not going to know where to take the ball. You're not going to know where to run into. The thing that I saw, and the highlight of it was in the game against us, when they had the throw in, and the space in the it was almost like the left centre of midfield, where Eriksen needed to come 4 or 5 yards back. He didn't. He was 4 or 5 yards forward. Olise noticed that, and that smart little move in the game where he just almost arced around the back of Eriksen, so he didn't know he was there.
Yeah.
Moved into the space. Bang! He's got a free run at everybody. Went past Casemiro. Left him like an old man. Ran at Varane. Ran at whoever. And the thing that in most modern day football defines if you're a good player or if you're a great player is what you do in the final third. And his work in the final third, Jarvis, is immense.
Yeah.
It is immense. The one thing that I will say about him is if he comes to Manchester United, this worry that people have about that we won't be clinical in the final third, he is. He's a very clinical player. I've seen the guy play out wide right. I think he's proven there. It's slot in there straight away. I think we saw what he did with us, ripping us through the midfield, Jarvis. I think he can play through the middle if you need him to. Attacking midfielder role or whatever, can turn on the ball. And again, I think even if you need to play him as a false nine, Jarvis, if you play him in the right sort of game, like against City, he would have been perfect to play false nine.
Yeah, actually, I agree. And then I got a question here from Reber Bakir, and they say, can we have a look at his stats? So we go to the good old FP Ref and have a look. We see his non-penalty goals. He's on the 99th percentile compared to the top 5 leagues in the world. In his position, he's on the 99th percentile when it comes to total shots. He's on the 96 when it comes to assists, 99% when it comes to expected assisted goals. So we see he contributes a lot to all the attacking stats. Passing attempts, 85%. Successful take-ons, he's a dribbler, 87%.
Yeah.
Interceptions, 90%. And even blocks, 90%. So we do a little bit of defensive works. Tackles, 61 for a player like him. That's fantastic. And 50% aerial one. So it's like half and half. So I think this stats looks extremely tempting. It looks very good.
Yeah. The one thing that I would say that we always have with our wingers though is they're not progressive enough with the ball. They always turn back. You just look at progressive carries, progressive passes, REC. You look at the statistics of it all. The final, like I was just saying about the final third play, is perfect because he will put the balls in behind that Højlund can run onto, and that's what I'm talking about. Where we don't have a winger who's like that, but he's not a one-dimensional player, Jarvis. That's what I like about him so much. He can drift either or way, put a ball in with the right foot, left foot. We even saw last season, not when we lost 4-0, the year before, he can take free kicks, he can take corners. I think he'd probably be a decent penalty kick taker if you need one. I think he just fits the bill. I really think he fits the bill. And the only thing that people will hold against him is he's injury prone. If he didn't have the bad injury record, guys, I think everybody would probably be in agreement to say that he's a top player and he's at Man United level. That's what I think. But the second part, Jarvis, of why I like about him so much is, from what I know about him personally, anyway, Jarvis, he's a very grounded kid. He's a very grounded kid. He's not a guy who's motivated by money. You should see in the way that he conducted it with Palace last summer. A lot of players, Jarvis, would have been pissed off with the way that Palace abused them almost last summer, where they were trying to negotiate with him to tie him down, but he had Chelsea in his ear, he had City flirting around him. Apparently, he had a conversation with Pep as well, trying to convince him to come to Man City before they went for Doku. There was a lot of these different sort of things going round, and a young kid like that. The one thing that I know about that situation, anyway, his dad stepped in. I think it was his dad or his agent. I can't remember who it was anyway. One of the two of them. He stepped in and he put a stop to it all. He said, "Steve Parish, leave my son alone." He said, "Pep, I don't want you to speak to Manchester City. I don't want you to speak to Chelsea. It's going to take a couple of days and we're going to evaluate the whole thing." And what they did was they rocked up at Crystal Palace and we said, "What is the plan for my son this season? Is it going to be that he's going to be a first-team player? Or is it going to be that you want to cash in on him now? Or can we sign a long-term contract here?" Olise has always been good to Palace because they've always been good to him. But the agreement that they have now is, Jarvis, that he's happy with the price that he's at because his father and his agent don't believe that the price that he's at is unrealistic for the talent that he is. Okay. But the way that I look at it with the kid is, when Chelsea and City were negotiating for him last summer, you would associate Chelsea with offering him stupid money. He didn't demand stupid wages, Jarvis. I think he was being quite reasonable when he was offering upwards of 150,000 for a first-year contract at a top football club. 150,000, I think, is decent. Anything less than 200k, I think, is brilliant for a player like that. So for me, anyway, when I look at what he will give you, he's still at the age, Jarvis, where he's not the finished article. You can develop him. You can turn the kid and the player into whatever you want to be. But the one thing that I like about him more as a person off of the pitch is he's a grounded kid and he's not motivated by money. The one thing that I know personally about his family is they believe he's going to be a top player and he will go on and be a top player at a top football club. If you believe in your son or you believe in that, if he believes in himself as much as he does, why does he need to demand top dollar money now when he can earn that in 3 or 4 years' time? That's the reason why I like him, Jarvis. I like the character of him. From what I've heard behind the scenes anyway, he's got a proper network around him of players, not this PR bollocks that we're seeing in football nowadays where they come out and defend him or anything. No, they do what they need to do behind the scenes. Like I said, his father and his agency, they stepped in place when they needed to take control of the situation. A 21-year-old kid can't deal with having Pep in his ear, Chelsea throwing money at him, fucking Steve Parish saying this, that, the other about what they want to do with him. Yeah, you know, they've stepped in and they've done right by their boy or by their client, and that's what I want. I want players who are grounded and are going to understand when they're in the firing line, Jarvis, and he might not score for 3 games. They'll pull him out of there and say, "Right, we need to work on this. We need to work on that." That's the thing that I want.
I see a lot of people in the chat actually. George Best comes in and say that's wonderful to hear. I hear you changed my mind about him. Great points, thank you. And I see a lot of people is a little bit surprised when you speak about his mentality. And for me too, I never heard about this and how he sees the game. You know, as a young player, he should be more concerned. A lot of these young players are concerned about money and reputation and social media, but he doesn't sound like that type of guy. When it comes to me and Olise, I love his crossings into the box. I think we haven't seen it. We haven't had a good crosser in the club since Beckham.
Do you know what, Jarvis? I think he's very similar to how Griezmann is at France. Do you know that little looping ball to the back post? Yes. It goes over every single person in the box and it just like drops like a bomb on a player's head. I think it's very similar to how that works. I like as we thought about the set pieces as well.
Yeah, and that's the thing, and I would like a player like that in the club. We haven't had a good crosser of the ball. Some of them are decent, but not like a brilliant crosser. And maybe we could utilize the other players better. We can see late runs from McTominay into the box. We can see Højlund coming in, the opposite winger coming in. Lot of chances created from Olise. So I think actually this will work. I got a question here from what's it? Yeah, Madhouse. How many games has he missed through injuries? Let's just go through the injuries a little bit. On the FB ref, no, on Transfer Mark. He has in 2000. Yeah, last season he was injured for 60 days. He missed 8 games.
So 2 months.
The year before, yeah, there was game
2 months, 8
year
weeks,
before
yeah.
with same injury, hamstring injury. He missed 13 games, and the 21, 22, 2 games, and the rest is 1 game. So basically, it's the same hamstring injury. So it's 60 days and 135 days, but it's only 1 injury. It's the same injury reoccurring. That's a little bit worrying. Or what do you think?
I think you could probably argue to say that it is obviously a recurring issue, but like I say, with our sports sciences and rehabilitation development, I think you can solve it. You can sort it out. The one thing that I'll say, Jarvis, is this: Man United are a very poor club when it comes to modern day analytics of football. We have been for years. When Rashford said it about a couple of years ago that he had problems with his back and everything, didn't he, and his shoulder.
Yeah.
He went to the Euros instead of getting the surgery that he needed before, and he missed a portion of the start of the season. And Ollie got pissed off about it and everything and that, even though he completely burnt the guy out anyway. The following season, then when Ten Hag came in, and it was that shit year with Ollie and Rangnick, there wasn't that problem there. It wasn't a recurring issue. He said that throughout his career, he's always had that problem with his shoulder and with his back. He's always been nimble there, but he had surgery at the start of that season. He had a shit season for that year. Let's face facts. But the following year, which was the season just gone, we know what Rashford did in that full season, Jarvis, when he was a fully fit player, no injuries, no issues, didn't miss hardly any games of the season. He tore the league apart, and that's the thing that I look at with players like Rashford. I think, I know there's a player there, Jarvis, because I've seen it when he's young, and I can see that you can develop that player. They might have a couple of injuries, yes, but if you can solve it out, Jarvis, I don't care if it's a surgery, I don't care if it's whatever it is, it can be done. I've seen it in football. Smith's already saying it. We managed to fix Giggs' hamstrings. It can be done, guys. There's ways and means of that you can do it. So long as players aren't going to target him and just think, oh, fuck it, let's just target his hamstrings, or we're going to put him under. Buckle into the back of him and hope he pulls one. If he pulls one, guys. Injuries happen. Yeah. But the thing that I'm saying, Jarvis, is I've seen players go out to Dubai, Portugal for a month and they're fully rehabilitated. I've seen them only have maybe 1 injury for, out of 5 seasons for, say, the rest of the career. I've seen it be done, Jarvis.
There's one club, especially when it comes to in the world, that's Inter. I read the story. I can't remember the player, but he had like a wisdom tooth, and they found he had some inflammation that gave him an injury in his, I don't know, his thigh or upper thigh or something. And they fixed it. And after that, the injury went away. That thorough. They go through everything. They scan the body from top to bottom and go through everything. And this is what I would like to see from our medical staff.
That's what I'm saying. But even when we're looking at it now, like Phil said earlier in the show about, when we're going to build a new training facility, if you're building a new training facility, surely the sort of technology and the sort of, sports science, physics, it's not going to be look at a textbook. It's going to be look at a computer screen. Where can we improve upon this player? What is his limits? What is his, boundaries? How far can we push him in training, sort of thing? The only reason why I'm saying it with Olise in particular is at the age, Jarvis, where if you get him now, he's not going to go for stupid money, and then we're going to be sat here in maybe next year, and he's going to be worth 80, 90 million pounds, and we're definitely not going to touch him.
Yeah.
That's the only thing that I'm going to say with Olise. I like the guy's character from what I know off the field. I've seen what I've seen on the field. When he's been fit and he's played Jarvis, I don't think he stinks the place out. I think even when I look at him, when he's played in the big games as well, we always define players on how they deal with big moments. He's played well against the big teams. I've seen him have good games against Liverpool, us, Chelsea. I've seen him have very, very good games. And listen, every player's going to have a bad game every once in a while. But the one thing that he gives you, Jarvis, is a lot of what we don't have in this squad. And if anybody in the chat wants to, maybe you use this, I'm going to put a question to people in the chat. If you look at what Olise would bring to this team, tell me a player in this squad that can do what he does when he is fully fit.
Yeah.
I don't think there is one. Not what he can give you. Can go either way, can do what we've said, the crossing Jarvis. Name me a player who can put a crossing like him from out wide. Yeah. There isn't one. There's no blueprint there. Even set pieces, corners, guys, we're shit. We haven't got Fernandes as much as people want to heap praising him. I've seen him hit the first man all time this season. Shit. Eriksen when he takes corners. Shit. I've seen enough for what I need to see. We need players who are going to give you consistent results in resolves. And like I say, it's something like a corner, Jarvis, in this league, with how tight it is at the top table, that will define if you get a corner and you score from it, if you win the league or you don't. And people might look at me, and people might listen to me now saying that and think, what the fucking hell is he talking about? The Aguero goal, millimetres, Jarvis. Millimetres, if a defender gets across, doesn't happen. History of football has changed for a reason. City won a league title by 4 millimetres at Burnley a couple of years ago against Liverpool. 4 millimetres. Technology, that's football. And if you didn't have the technology in football, Jarvis, the goal wasn't a standard. City wouldn't have won the league. That's what I'm talking about. Fine margins in football define whether you win or you don't. It's as simple as that. But like I say, with anybody in the chat, if anybody in the chat can tell me a player in this squad right now that can do what Olise does, please tell me who it is. Because when we played against them, I saw everybody in the team was shitbags. And I don't think I can see one attacker this season. I could maybe make a case for Højlund and Ahmad towards the end of the season. But the rest of them, shitbags. Garnacho, I think's had a decent season. But again, guys, been in and out of the team. Or he's been burnt out toward the end of the season. So you're not going to see the best of Garnacho.
Yeah, but I agree with you, Tom, when it comes to Olise. I think there's no one like him, and we would need a player like him. But the problem is he first prioritization this season? Because we know we need at least 2 center backs, defensive midfielder. We need a fullback. We need a striker. So now we are at 5. Maybe we need another midfielder. We're at 6. Is an attacking player like a inverted forward winger, Paul's 9. Is he what we need at the current moment?
Well, if I'm looking at what we've seen this season, Jarvis, correct me if I'm wrong. What did we finish in terms of goal difference this season?
Yeah, -1.
-1. There you go. That's all that I need to know. How many chances has Højlund been created in the final third this season?
Yeah.
Hardly any. And that's what I'm talking about, Jarvis.
Get any service. That's the point.
Every team in this league, when you come up against Man United, next season, if you don't have another creative player or a creative midfielder, Jarvis, will look at us and think, if we nullify Bruno Fernandes, they don't create fuck all. Whereas if you bring in a player like Olise, Jarvis, I know if he gets that yard to whip a ball in, Jarvis, somebody can get on the end of it. You said about McTominay making late runs. Højlund, whoever it is, it doesn't have to be anybody. It could be from a set piece. If you keep Harry Maguire, he can get on the end of one of them crosses. He's a big enough lad. Can bully a couple of players out of the way, bang, put it in the corner. But this is what I'm saying. We don't have enough players in the final third. And yeah, I can understand we're shit at the back. That's fine. If you can't keep goals out, Jarvis, you've just got to score more than the other team. And the only way you're going to do that is if you create enough chances to do so. And we don't. We don't. That's as simple as I'm going to say it.
Yeah, but the thing is, when it comes for me, when it comes to signings now, because I see us in a rebuild, I don't think we will compete for at least 3 years. I'm trying to keep it realistic. So for Olise to come in, he he don't just need to function next season. He needs to function in the next 5 seasons.
Development. Jarvis.
He needs to develop. That's the thing, and he needs to become better.
Yeah.
So maybe have it. We have a couple of more news from Rushmano. I just want to bring through because we are getting pressed on time. This one came up pretty interesting. Centre Devils say Man United have had a 30 million bid rejected for a homegrown midfielder.
Wait, what?
So I just had to ask Rosmano, who is this? So he sent me another link, and it's this guy, Fermin Lopez from Barcelona. Man United offered a 30 million for Fermin Lopez. The answer from Barcelona is that they don't want to sell the player.
Whereabouts does he play, Jarvis, in midfield? Out of curiosity.
Well, he's a central midfielder. I think his stats are pretty good. Let's have a look.
Let's see, and then we'll be able to tell where he's a better player. Oh, he's an attacking midfielder, right? Okay.
Attacking midfielder, 21 years of age, Spanish nationality, a little bit short, 174 centimeters. Let's see, stats, 8 goals in 14 appearances, 17 from the bench. So he's not a regular at Barcelona, but he plays a decent amount of games. 2 goals in the Champions League, so total 11 goals last season, when you count them all. You see he's mainly based in the central of the pitch. So I would say more of a central, but he can also play as an attacking and as a left. Attacking forward.
Yeah.
They say his strengths are dribbling, his weakness, aerial dual passing. He likes to dribble, likes to do layoff, likes to do short passes, likes to tackle, and he commits a lot of fouls.
Yeah.
So what do you think? Is this a player we should think of signing? If we have made a bid, it's what Ineos and Ten Hag wants, basically.
Yeah.
Someone who can complement for, I don't know. But we have Mason Mount, we have Bruno. Why do we want another attacking midfielder? It doesn't make sense.
That's exactly what I'm thinking. But the only thing that I can see if Ineos did go for a player like that is he's young. You might be able to develop him somewhere else. But the problem with us is you've got so many young players that you could develop in this team. Some of them are going to almost get in each other's way of what role they want. With Kobe Mino, when you develop him to play whatever role it is, Jarvis, is an age where if you want him to be an attacking midfielder, there's enough time to develop him to play there. If you want him to be a box-to-box player, you can develop him there. If you want him to be a number 6, it might not be his strengths, Jarvis, but a top coach can develop him to play there. That's football. That's development. That's how you become a better player. And at the end of the day, with this Lopez kid, anyway, I'll be very honest with you, Jarvis. He sounds very similar to 2 players that they already have in that Barcelona team. In Pedri and Gavi.
But doesn't mean that Bruno is on his way out?
Maybe.
Could it be?
I don't think they'd replace him with a 21-year-old. And I don't think Mount's a like-for-like solution, really. I don't know, to be fair. The only reason why I can see why you'd bring in this kid is if somebody's going out the door. Maybe a McTominay or somebody, and you're bringing in somebody like that. But you're losing physicality and you're getting lanky. I know it's bad to say. I might sound a bit offensive for saying that, but you're losing a lot of physicality with McTominay and energy for a technical proven player. But I don't even know the guy, Jav. I've not seen the guy play. From what you said there, he's 16 years old. I don't know about the guy. Something just done. It seems too good to be true whether he's going to come in and be that good of a player or not. The only 16-year-old that I've ever got off the edge.
Oh, he's 21. 21.
Oh, is he 21?
21, yeah.
Oh, okay. My bad.
Yeah, Brendan said to have a point here. If you need to look at the passing distance forward.
Oh, this is his stats, okay.
Yeah. So it's his most important statistics. And this is his passing forward, as you see here. This is short passes, is 56, 52, and 75% pass completion on short passes. But when it comes to medium and long, well, pass completion on long passes is actually 70%, 69.6%. So it's not too bad, but it's not incredible. So I wouldn't say his passing game is fantastic, but it's okay.
No, it's The only issue that I have, Jarvis, is it a football club which is cultured around having the ball at your feet?
Yeah.
And if he's got those sort of statistics, I'm questioning the motivations of why they want to sell him. Because at a club like Barcelona, if you're good with the ball at your feet, they'd never sell you. They'd never ever sell you. History tells you that. Iniesta never sold him once. Xavi, so many teams came in for those trio of players that they had at the time, never sold any single one of them. And there's a reason why, because they're proven players. But Real Madrid are the exact same thing, Jarvis. When they sign a player and they know that they're going to be a top player, Jarvis, Modric, Kroos, Casemiro, when they know what they're buying, Jarvis, they use it out until the last end of it. And then what do? They go and replenish and remarket players. Tchouaméni, Camavinga, Bellingham now. Complete new midfield for 10 years, Jarvis, there.
Yeah.
Valverde. I forgot to mention Valverde. That's what I'm talking about. That's how you properly rebuild a team. And the way that we've done it, Jarvis, is we've bought a player for the way that we attack a summer window is we don't complete one part of the pitch. Like for me, guys, if the priority for this summer was we're just going to sign defenders and we're going to sort the defence out, I won't give a shit about that. If we bought a complete new back four, I'd be happy with that as a new window because we've solved one problem in the team. And then if it means that next summer, you then, right, we're going to sort the midfield out. We'll buy 4 midfielders, whatever it is. That's sorted out. And then suddenly, Jarvis, the third year, buy a couple of attackers, score some goals. I know it sounds simple with how you do it in football, and it's not that simple. You have to buy players around certain pitches because players come and go. But if you did it like that, suddenly then after year 3, Jarvis, which we all talk about in football, is Man United rebuild has always been about 3 years. So after 3 years, you built the whole team again. There you go, you built the whole team. But the issue that we have, Jarvis, with players like this is, again, is it a club like Barcelona? I can't understand why a club like that would want to sell a young player if he's going to be that good. They don't let they're not like us, and we just release players into the abyss. And if they go and be something better away from Man United, we have egg on our face.
Yeah,
they're not that club. They're really not that club.
Yeah, it's very interesting. Very interesting. When it comes to another midfielder, this is the latest news. We spoke a little bit about Eriksen, but Christian Eriksen is reportedly ready to quit Man United this summer. We saw him playing really well for Denmark this one game, but do you think it's time for Eriksen to leave?
I think so. Yeah, I'm not going to be is maybe disrespectful as I have been through the season, but I'm a realist and I see it how it is and I say it how it is. His legs have gone. They've left him. They have. I'm sorry, they have. When he was in Italy and he was at Inter Milan, to be fair, Jarvis, I thought it actually suited him the league. The tempo of the league, he could dictate the play. Won a Scudetto, and the one thing that I think for him is anyway, he's proven and he's a motivational figure for football. That's the one thing that I will say about him, because the story of what he had, he died on a football pitch. He come back from the fucking dead. He went and won a Scudetto. Denmark had done what they'd done in commemoration for him, and they got as far as they could, Jarvis. Yeah. And if they didn't probably play England, and England had a bit of luck with the run of the ball, they probably would have got to the Euros final. And we don't know what would have happened after that. But at the end of the day, he's been a good advocate for the Premier League, I think. Me personally. I think he's been at some good clubs. Spurs he did quite well with, Pochettino. Brentford even, I thought he did quite well, Jarvis, to be honest with you. And if he wants to still play, do you know something? I don't think a club like Brentford would have bad malice against him. I think a club like Brentford would take him back. I do. Thomas Frank, I think, would look at him and think, well, his legs have gone, but I can still use him for set pieces.
Yeah, but I don't think Premier League is the right place, as you mentioned. I don't think Italy or Spain would probably be a better place suited for him, or even Turkey or something like that.
Do you know, something? I was even going to go one step further and say maybe go across the pond. Go across the pond to the MLS or something. If there's a team in America that'd take him, go and have a bit of an experience with your family, Christian. You've earned top dollar money in Europe. Go and have a bit of an experience, haven't you, in America or listen, we don't know. Saudi Arabia might come in for him. We don't know. You don't know how football. This is how football is now. But the thing with Eriksen is he's defined all the odds for what he could do. The Italian rules kind of fucked him over, where they said due to health reasons that a player with internal defibrillator, organ defibrillator, can't play in Italy. It's a part of their regulations. But again, he's not. I think he's a player now. When we brought in Mount Jarvis, I think he's surplus to requirements. That's the sort of point where I thought, yeah, I can see why you brought in a player like that. And I think he kind of wanted Donny van de Beek to take a role over from Eriksen, but we know what's happened with Donny anyway. But you know, so I don't have any.
For me, when it comes to Eriksen, when it comes to him, I think it feels like as Juan Mata, brilliant player, but we kept him on way too long, and his legs was obviously gone when he
Jarvis,
played. Everything was around Mata. Mata was a brilliant player, but when he had to run, it was exposed.
The one thing as well, Jarvis, that defines between Mata and Eriksen was we never used them in their preferred position. Mata, for years, we said it, guys, he should have played down the middle. Down through the middle. David Silva-esque sort of player. Proven player, did it at Chelsea. Eriksen, his best work has been as an attacking midfielder, Jarvis. Name me one game when he's been in the Man United shirt where he's played attacking midfielder. Never has, because Fernandes has always played there. That's it, and that's my point. That's the problem. But when he was at Brentford, Jarvis, where did he play? Attacking midfielder.
Yeah.
And that's the reason. And in that one season that he had, Spurs, in that one season that he had at Brentford, that's why we took the gamble on him. Because we knew what was buying in the guy. But like I say, players like Eriksen, I've got nothing against him. He's done quite well at this football club. Listen, he's won a Scudetto, he's won an FA Cup, he's playing in the Euros now. We don't know what Denmark might do in the tournament. So we might have to wait and see with there. But he's defined all the odds. I've got nothing against the guy. I'd welcome the guy back for a game or whatever. Do some media work with the guy or whatever. I think he's a top advocate for football. And it's one of the best comeback stories in, I think, sports history. Forget football, for what the guy has gone through and his family's gone through.
Yeah. I see Brendan Chappell comes in and say Eriksen still has at least one great season in him and is able to add to our success. Maybe as one great season, but at our current stage, I think it's time to try to let go of players like Eriksen and players like them. We can't be sentimental if you're doing a rebuild. We need to be ruthless. And for me, I think it's a goodbye to Eriksen, and I will be okay with it. And I wish him well in his next club.
Yeah. I agree.
The next news is from Roshmano, always sending me all of this news. Is Facundo Pellistri is attracting interest from South America, and what are we going to do with Pellistri? Is he too old now to bring him back, or should we just try to cash in?
How old is he now? Is he 20?
20? I think he's 23 actually.
22 or 23, I don't know.
Yeah. Let's see, Facundo Pellistri, he's 22, December 20th.
I guess you could make an argument. Let's say he's 23 by the end of the calendar year.
Yeah.
We don't use them.
No, that's the problem.
This is the issue that I have with it. I like the kid. I really do. The same with Ahmad. We bought both of them in the same window when I think we should have bought them separate windows. That was the problem. We bought it for 12. Well, Stephanie's saying it. We bought it for 12 million. I think for more a case of for what he's done for Uruguay than Man United, I think he commands 15 million easily. Easily 15 million. Uruguay is proven to me anyway. I've seen the guy perform miracles with a ball. Low sense of gravity. He's almost my kind of player.
Messi-esque in his dribbling.
Yeah. That South American bit of flair. Pull away from players. Stick a ball in the box. Halfway across the line. The thing with Pellistri, though, I saw it in the Spurs game when we played away at Spurs. Take the ball to the byline. That's the only player, Jarvis, at the start of the season when we were so shit in the final third, he took the ball to the byline. Him and Garnacho were the only two. But I think we can get, like Flex is saying, I think we can get good money for him if we do sell him. Again, Jarvis, I'm gonna bang on about it one more time. Market the player properly. He's 22 years old, coming on 23. He's young. You can develop him. He's an international player. He plays for Uruguay, so he's going to go at World Cups. He's going to be an international player. He's got some caps about him. Fucking market the player properly, and you'll get a better fee for him. It's as simple as that. But the way that I look at it, Jarvis, is if we were marketing to go and get a young player, let's say he's not our player, is it another club, and he's a young 22-year-old, would he be a player that Man United would probably look at? I think so. I think they'd be monitoring him, or they'd be looking statistically, or watch a couple of games, maybe send a scout out to South America or wherever to watch him. But the problem, again, that I have, Jarvis, is I think when it comes down to it, there's going to have to be a very harsh decision. And it's not a nice decision because I like both of the players. But you're going to have to pick between Ahmad and Pellistri. And I think a lot of this fan base, for what we saw toward the back end of last season, and even the start of the pre-season as well, I think Ahmad probably outshines him. I do. But Pellistri, I think he has his uses. And do you know something? Again, about the kid, I think he's not been given a fair crack of the whip. And I hope he gets an opportunity to go somewhere else, play some proper football, Jarvis, and maybe rebuild his career, or try and jet it off and go to another top football club. That's what I hope for the kid anyway. I've got nothing bad about him, Jarvis. Not a bad word to say about him.
No, neither do I. Maybe he's one of those late bloomers. I think we have seen the potential. He could be a fantastic player, but he needs game time, and I don't think he will have game time at Man United. And I agree with who was it? Was it Brendan who said? Compost Murphy said, "I don't think Ten Hag rates Pellistri, unfortunately," and I agree with that. So we just gotta take it like that. Tom is need to take a phone call, so he will be back in a couple of minutes. So I will just continue with the latest news, and this is from Mick Ruby, because he says MUF. Okay, let's just add it to the squad. To this, here it is. Mufc Realist TV celebrates 2 years in the making and hitting 30K subs. He's so proud, and a great full heart thank you all members, subscribers, legend, and chat, and the panel. And he gives a thanks to Phil Standish, Football Power Hour, that's Poppy, Mark, Stu, Tom Journalist 1, Bilal, Strefford Post, J Star City, that's Uncle Jimmy, and Jay Mourinho, Andy Tate, and all the other Alice Talk Football, Swedish Rumble, Stretty News, and of course Nuruddin. So thank you everybody for supporting the channel for these 2 years and contributing to the channel. It's been a fantastic time and great to have 30,000 subscribers. Can you imagine? It's a lot of people. So thank you everybody for contributing and being a part of this great community. And we wouldn't have done it without you guys. You are the core of this channel. So that's fantastic and brilliant. The next thing, because Rashmanos has a lot of news, but I will just show you this because we have been talking a lot about this young guy, Euro, and his abilities. I just want to show you this because I think he looks brilliant. This is him on the ball. Look at his tackles. He looks composed. He's always in balance. And he has, I would say, same time of tackling type as Wan-Bissaka, spider legs. And he's good on the ball. He's technical. And you see he has courage when he marks, and the late tackle. Great from Lenny Euro. So for me, I think he would be the most exciting center back out of all the options we have this season. This is the one I would like to sign. Even though he's just 18 years of age, I think he looks fantastic. So what do you guys think in the VAR room? I see Stephanie Griffith comes in and say Lenny Longlegs, and this is my comparison when it comes to to Lenny Yoro. I think he reminds me of Wan-Bissaka, but in a centre-back kind of way. Jack Hoff comes in and ruins the mood and say Yoro will go to Madrid 100%. And well, we don't know that yet, but if we could get a player like Lenny Yoro, I would actually go for him. Brendan comes in, but this video shows his best moments. He's made to make him look good. Yeah, obviously, but you got to take it for what it is. But it was actually him performing and doing these things, even though it was a cameo of his best performances. Lilis comes in and say Yoro, he's Varane too. Yeah, it could be. He has a good career, but then he have to go to Real Madrid first and win the Champions League 3 to 4 times. So let's hope he comes to Man United. And Jack Hoff says he will not join us. Yeah. Felix, Real Madrid bound for sure. We can't compete. Yeah, that's the thing. We can't compete. So, but would you take him if Lenny Yoro was available? Tom, are you back?
Yeah, I'm back. Apologies.
I'm just speaking to the VR room about Lenny Yoro, and everybody says he's going to Madrid. But you didn't get to see this. I can just show you this great cameo of Lenny Yoro once more. It's not that many seconds long. You see he has like the spider legs of Wan-Bissaka, and he's very composed. He has good balance on the ball, and he knows how to tackle, clean tackles. And he has technique. He can dribble on the ball. You see here, brilliant balance, and he has courage when he goes into tackles. And this is a late tackle. He has pace also, recovery pace. And it's good on the ball headers. Yeah, so this was his best moment, so let's just take it with a pinch of salt. But he looks interesting, don't he?
For 18 years old, certainly. Do you know? I'm gonna maybe say something a bit controversial there. I see so much similarities with Varane, a young Raphael Varane at 18 years old. I really do. Man United. There's a funny story about Varane. Anyway, it was told when he actually came to Man United in the end. They tried to sign him as an 18-year-old. So Alex Ferguson flew out to France in the village where his mother lived at the time to try and convince her to let her son come to Manchester and play at Manchester United. And he couldn't convince her. And he ended up later on going and signing for Real Madrid as a young player. And then he spent nearly a decade there, won all the trophies that he'd done. And then he ended up coming to Man United in the end anyway. But I look at this kid and I see the tackling, I see the aggression, I see the one thing that I saw just in that little clip there anyway, Jarvis, the recovery pace. The thing in our team, we don't have a player that has that recovery pace. That's my issue. But I look at a kid like this, and I've seen this story before. I think it was 2 years ago nearly now, where Camavinga was the hot French talent. There was Tchouaméni the first summer, and then we didn't get him. And then there was Camavinga the following summer, and we didn't get him either. And I look at this Lenny Yoro guy, and I just think to myself, he looks like a Real Madrid player.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You just look at a player and you just... I said this earlier when I was speaking to a couple of friends about David Silva. And when we said about a player like David Silva and Bernardo Silva, that kind of low sense of the player, Jarvis, I always associate that sort of player with Barcelona. I always do, and I always have done, and I always will do. I associate it with Barcelona. And I look at Lenny Yoro and I think, I just see a Real Madrid shirt on him. I do. I see him at the back with a Nacho or a David Alaba, whoever it is, Eder Militao.
Rudiger, Militao.
Yeah, listen, they said with Madrid that their process when they want to replace Ramos and Varane was that they wanted to buy a younger, more aggressive centre-half, which I think they've got that with Militao. I do think he is that, which is almost like a Ramos replacement. And again, I think the same thing with Lenny Euro. If you go and get the kid,
Yeah.
I think he probably replaces Varane that they've missed, maybe. But I don't think they've missed him at the back, to be fair. This fucking Real Madrid team, I'm being very honest with you, Travis, now. They're starting to piss me off. They're getting too good. Good at picking these players. But when they do as well as they do in the history of the club, can you blame the kid? I can't blame him if he chose Real Madrid over Man United. I can't. Sunny Spain, fucking Champions League winners medals over what? Pissing rain in Manchester. I think I know what a kid in a hot climate is going to want to pick.
Yeah. The only thing I can think of, if he wants to join the rebuild, come in a young team, it depends what we do in this. What they can sell him. What is the vision? We can't sell him that we are on our way back, and he will be a vital part and a key player, and will get to play every week and develop. I don't think Madrid can promise him that, because we have seen Tchouaméni, we have seen Camavinga. They don't play every week because they have Modric and Kroos available all the time. So
The only thing though, Jarvis, that I think I could see with a kid like him is they look at him and they think, you are the future of this football club. You are the future of the back line. You're going to be one of the calmest players at the back. That's the only thing that I think they can see in that. And they look at players like Alaba and they think, Alaba, they got on a free, Jarvis, just because he's a top player. He's at the back end of 30. He's at the early end of 30. So he's not going to stay at high level football for long. Again, Militao is probably one for the future that they've invested. They invested a lot of money to get him out of Porto, decent wedge of money. They got the player that they wanted, and then that's almost set them back for another decade where they don't have to buy a top centre half to fill that role that Ramos left. And then the exact same thing now where Nacho's leaving, Jarvis. They need to buy a centre half. So who do you replace them by? Replace them for what you've been, or what you've always had good success with, which was Ramos and Varane. I think they've got the Ramos character in Militao, and I think this, from what I've just seen there, this clip, and what I've sort of done research on the kid over the last couple of days, ever since there's been links emerging with Man United, he looks very similar to an 18-year-old Raphael Varane that we never got. And like somebody put in the chat, I don't know who it was, good knowledge anyway, that Man United signed Phil Jones instead of signing Raphael Varane. They did.
Yeah, we did.
Again, that's how Manchester United's history has always been. They always go for the Brit over the Euro talent. But no, I don't.
Did I hear Bransthwaith?
Oh,
someone mentioned Bransthwaith.
do you know something though, Jarvis? Right, even when we're looking at England's talented players right now, right, there's not one player in the England squad, bar maybe, I'd say Kane and Bellingham, that I think's worth over 70 million.
Yeah.
I don't. I really don't. Maybe 60. I might even drop it as far as 60. Players like Gahey, Jarvis, I could understand why I would rather have him over Bransthwaith for obvious reasons. He's got more experience. He's played in the Premier League a lot longer than he has. And he's got the physical attributes to cope with this league. And even, again, Jarvis, he's playing currently in a system right now, like I said with Olise before, he's playing in a system right now that suits how we want to eventually play, which is fluid football in the open end. That's the one thing. But at the back, the one thing that we don't have a recovery place player. We don't. We don't have a Kyle Walker.
We have Dallo. He's our only one, I would say. He's the only one.
Dallo, The only reason though with Dallo is, Jarvis, when we want to try and convert to play three at the back for when we have the
Dallo
ball,
goes into the midfield.
Dallo goes into the midfield, so then you lose your recovery pace. That's the issue. Whereas if you get a player similar to what Pep did with Kyle Walker, where he's a fullback, or you might be able to get a centre half that can do it. I've seen what Postecoglou's done with Van der Ven when they have the ball. He steps all the way up the field, Jarvis, but he's a fucking bullet, and he gets back. That's the thing that I know about the guy. This is what I'm talking about. But who knew Mickey Van der Ven before he was at Wolfsburg? Nobody. Yeah. I didn't even. To be honest with you, I thought they were buying Mickey Mouse, not fucking Mickey Van der Ven. that's as much as I knew about the guy. But you've seen what the guy has brought to Spurs. He's brought something different that they didn't have before. They had Eric Dyer and Ben Davies at the back. That was their two centre halves at the back. Again, you've gone from something completely new, and it's worked for them. Udogie Jarvis, he's a warrior player. He's a warrior player. I want those kind of players at Man United, where they have a bit of bite, a bit of spite, but they have that quality. And at the end of the day, Jarvis, we need a partnership. Varane and Martinez worked because one of them had the experience and the calmness, which was Varane, and the other one had the aggression, the fight, almost the balls. I'll stud people. I'll do whatever I have to do. I don't give a shit. And that's Martinez. We've lost one part of that tool. I want a like-for-like replacement of Varane. And if that's what I say with this kid, I don't mind bringing that kid in. But I'm not putting pressure on the guy to be a superstar at 18 years old. You're not going to have a Jude Bellingham. The Jude Bellingham thing when he was a born superstar from 16 years old, it's once in a generation you see that happen. It's very rare that you'll ever see that happen in football when you can nurture it that young. And
do you know there's more? There's more of the Bellinghams. There's one in Sunderland. Joe.
You've said this to me before, yeah.
Have you seen him play?
Yeah, I have seen him play, yeah. Palace won him.
He reminds me of his brother, obviously, but he has the same body build, the same physique,
playing style, genetics. Style. That's what I'd say. Genetics. It's in the genes.
Yeah.
But
so there's still a chance for us to get a Bellingham.
Oh. If we're gonna get him, let's get him before he goes to Crystal Palace. But again, like we're saying, Jarvis, with recruitment, if we're going to go down this young modelled route, players like Joe Bellingham, you need to be monitoring. They're the sort of profile of players, because even as people say, like, you can get, top players from Europe, you can, that's fine. You can get top players in the Championship as well. But you've just said there about Joe being in the Championship was a good player. Fine. Yeah. Jude, when he was in the Championship, all the top clubs in Europe looked at the kid and they thought, we're going to start looking at this guy. Even though he's at a lower level of English football, we're going to look at him, we're going to monitor him, we're going to track him. The same thing now, Jarvis, where we looked at it a couple of years ago when Liverpool bought Andy Robertson from Hull. I think it was for 10 million, maybe 5, 6, I think it was. People were looking at Liverpool and thinking, signing a first starting left back from the Championship. What the fuck are they doing? But you've just seen what Robertson's proven out to be. He's Scotland's captain. Leadership material's always been there. Quality on the ball, crossing ability, defensive duties, fully solid left back. But Liverpool saw that, but they saw it at a lower level. And that's what I want with us, Jarvis. I want us to be a lot more smarter in the market and think, you know what? Yeah, there might be a super player worth 70 or 80 million pounds, a top European club that we could go and get. But there's also this kid from, I don't give a shit, I don't know where, who might have a decent, background or a decent story, Jarvis, who might think, you know what, I've got a lot to show in football. I need to make me stand in football. Because if Liverpool didn't take a punt on Andy Robertson, who knows where he might be. He probably won't, I don't think he'd be at the level of football that he is right now. And that's the difference, Jarvis. You need a motivational partner to say why you should play at this level of football.
Yeah, I see Brendan Chappell comes in and say Rio Ferdinand also had a brother. Good observation. Very good observation. And Flex Felix said we should have gone all out for Bellingham, but Old Trafford let us down. Who was the manager when we tried to sell him the project and he chose Dortmund instead? But I won't blame Ole on this one. I think it's more about the whole organization. I just thought the Dortmund had a better, I would say, package.
Jarvis, I mean, let's be honest, right? You're Jude Bellingham. I'm Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. I put Sir Alex Ferguson and Eric Cantona, two of the legacy manager and a legacy player of the football club, at the front door, and they roll the red carpet out for you. You're going to think, fucking hell. You are. Honestly, you are. You're going to think, hell, have I just shook hands with Fergie? Have I just spoke to Cantona? You are. Yeah. You're 16 years old. You're still doing maths, mate. You still got, you're still in, maths. You're probably doing his exams the day after that he met Fergie.
Yeah.
And he might be signing for Man United. Like, listen, that's how football is. And it's crazy that you can be that, talented and that. But again, We couldn't offer him Jarvis like this kid now, this Lenny Oro guy.
Mm.
We can't offer him guarantee of first team football. We can't do it because he's that young. In the exact same way, we couldn't do it with Bellingham because he was that young. We wouldn't want to give him so much of a responsibility, Jarvis, that he doesn't turn out to be the player that he should be. And what did he go and do? He went to a club, Jarvis, where he was able to get that opportunity.
Mm.
And that's the issue with us. We can sell players like Bellingham. They come to us when they're ready-made. That's the problem. Or we try and get them when they're ready-made, and we're going to have to fork out a shit ton to get them. But in the end, Jarvis, if you get them as a young player, the best time when you can get Jude Bellingham is on the town fields, on the streets, Jarvis. You see the kid playing in a Sunday league match or whatever it is when he's 10 years old, and you sign him up and you put him in the academy. That's the best time that you ever get a chance to get players like Jude Bellingham, and you're not going to get ripped off on stupid money.
Yeah.
And the only thing that I like more about this structure, Jarvis, and I've always banged on about him ever since he's come in, because I've put a couple of contacts out there, tried to find out what I can about the guy. The one thing that I talked about a lot anyway, Jason Wilcox is a proper football man.
Yeah.
He knows his football. He knows young players, and he sees players, a top player when he sees one at a very young age. And that's the one thing that I'm thinking for us anyway, Jarvis. If we want to nurture more young talent, we've always defined our club around young players. But there's having young players in your academy. We might have one that comes out every year that shines out above the rest of them. But you also need to find players in Europe at that same age, Jarvis, that you can bring in and that you can do the exact same role and the exact same thing.
Yeah.
And if you do that, that's how you rebuild a club. But you need the experts to do it. Nobody can sit here and tell me John Murto has a better talent ID or football brain than what Jason Wilcox has, because the guy's proven it and he's done it. He's got qualification. And at the end of the day, when Pep Guardiola is prepared to work with you, when he was at Manchester City, he clearly saw something in Wilcox to say, I like this guy. He's got something about him. He's got some sort of knowledge about him. I want to keep him on. I want to work with him. And that's the thing that I say with people like Barada again. But we need to we need to assess it in terms of who's got the character to play for this club as much as who has the quality to. And we've had quality players come and go, Jarvis. Some do well at this club and some don't. But the one thing that they've lacked is character. That's the one thing that I will say about a lot of the players. There's not a character.
Yeah.
Whereas Jude, he's shown that, Jarvis, and he even showed that when he was 16 years old. He had that same character about him. And even the other night, Jarvis, he's made it. He's a multi-fucking millionaire already at 21 years old or whatever he is, right? He's still the same grounded kid, Jarvis. He runs, 10K a game. I want players who are going to burst the gut. I couldn't give a shit if you're a multi-millionaire or not. Play like you mean it. Like that banner said from the Man United fans at that Fulham game. I'll never forget that. Play like you mean it. That's what we all want as fans. We want players who are going to play like you mean it. And play for this football club like you mean it.
Yeah, I totally agree, Tom. We have two little more things. This question from Jack Hoff is Jarvis, there is a rumor that United and Nice can't do business because they are both in the Europa League. Would that explain why we don't hear anything about Todibo anymore? I think this is more Tom's expertise. Is there a chance for us to sign from Nice since we're both in the Europa League?
As far as I'm aware, anyway, I think you can still do business. I mean, Chelsea own Strasbourg in France, and their own players there. I think they even sold a young player there for an undisclosed fee. I can't remember how much it was.
Yeah, but was they both in the same tournament? Because the point is here, both are in the Europa League.
Oh, okay. No, they wouldn't have been. I don't know then about the European clash.
No. Because it sounds strange because we
Jarvis,
know
they must be able to though. I'm sorry, Red Bull do it in the Champions League. They sent Sesko from Salzburg to Leipzig, and they were both in the Champions League that season. I'm sure they were.
Yeah,
they must be. I'm sure they must be able to. If they do, I think the only thing that if there is a way around it, so long as they're not going to charge him £1 or €1, I think you're going to be all right. If it's something, let's say it's 40 million euros or something, 40 million.
Yeah.
I think it's a fair price for him anyway. I do. I think in the market value, I think that's what he's worth. So again, I don't think there's any sort of influence you can say, oh well, they've manipulated football, because even if Ratcliffe wasn't involved in Man United anyway, Jarvis, do I think Tadibo would be a player that we'd be looking at? I think he would. I do think he'd be a player that we'd be looking at anyway.
Yeah.
But owners in football, they have stakes in other clubs and they buy players from them. So I don't know how it works with UEFA and the rules there.
Nah, yeah.
Listen, Leipzig get away with it. City, I've seen City get away with it. They send players all around the City football group, and they get away with it. So why is it only against Manchester United now that it won't be able to happen? I can understand that they've given them the 12 months to say to Ineos, right, you've got 12 months. We'll let you play in the same competition for now, but you need to resolve it. That's fine. But if that evaluates same to the players as well, in terms of if you can buy Tadibo or not, buy him then if you want him, or if you don't buy him. It's as simple as that.
Yeah.
I'm not asked. But with Tadibo, Jarvis, I'm not going to, again, like I was saying before about Bransthwaith, I'm not going to lose sleep if we don't sign him, because I think there's better targets and I think there's better players out there than Tadibo. That's just my opinion.
Yeah.
But I think there's better players out there for the same amount of money.
Yeah, I agree with that. We have one last news before we call it today, and this is Sofyan Amrabat. It's from Gianluca Di Marzio saying that Galatasaray is looking at Amrabat. Decision not yet made by Man United. So apparently we're not fully set on Sofyan Amrabat, but is it our decision because he's a loanee? Isn't he officially a Fiorentina player yet, or we have an obligation to buy if we want?
We've got an option, yeah. We've got an option, haven't we? But I think you made the point anyway, Jarvis. They've replaced him. They've already replaced him. I think Fiorentina, when they sent that loan out for him, and they put the sort of fee next to it, Jarvis, which is, I think, is a reasonable fee anyway. I think, what is it, 80 million euros?
Yeah.
It's about 15 million pounds, I think, around about that. I don't think it's a stupid price. I don't. No. I think it's a realistic price. I think when they sent him out on that loan with the option to buy, I think they had the intention of that he wasn't coming back. Put it that way. That's what I think. And they've already replaced him. You said that a couple of weeks ago. They've already got a replacement for him, and they were doing quite well at that time in the season, toward the end of the season. So, I think if he goes back, I almost look at it. I probably think they'll look at Fiorentina, look at it and think, where does he fit in? Because we've replaced him. We didn't really expect to get him back. But the one thing that I'll say with Amrabat, Jarvis, is because he's been at Manchester United, he's been in the spotlight. I think he's very similar to Sabitzer. He's been in the spotlight. He's had a bit of glamour. He's had the spotlight on him. He's had a couple of good games and a couple of bad games, Jarvis. But because he's been at Man United, and a lot of people around the world watch Manchester United games, I think a lot of the sporting directors at clubs, whatever level they are, will probably look at him and think, he's not a bad little buy for 15 million. That's what I think they will do. So I think, even for Fiorentina, sending him to Manchester United is almost a good thing on loan, because Man United have basically given them free advertising. Millions and billions of football fans around the world have watched him play. You know, sporting directors get a chance to watch him play. To be fair, Jarvis, if I look at Amrabat, the sort of player that he is, where could I see him fitting in? I think he could fit in the Premier League somewhere. I think he could somewhere. Maybe at Palace if that Wharton kid goes somewhere.
Yeah.
Or maybe Fulham. If
under Thomas Frank in the low block, mid block, counter attacking football, maybe.
Yeah,
like a deep line playmaker.
Paulinho with Marco Silva. If Paulinho goes,
Yeah,
a
Fulham.
replacement there, 15 million.
Mm.
Like I said, there's options, but
Mm.
if we don't look at him, Jarvis, to be fair, I think we're going to sign a midfielder anyway,
Yeah.
regardless.
Compost Murph say if Eriksen and Casemiro are going, can we afford to let him go for that price? I'm not sure, to be honest.
I don't think we can now. I think we'd have to buy him.
Yeah, me too. And Yakov comes in and say he's a cheap signing and we should keep because he's a good squad player. And I think also it gives a little bit of versatility to our squad because we know we can play as fullback, right back, and left back, and a deep lying midfielder. So actually, it's a good squad player to have. So
I agree.
Yeah. I think we need to wrap it up. We are on 1 hour and 50 minutes. This is always when it comes to Jarvis's Corner. It's
2 hours actually, Jarvis. 2 hours.
Into a Scorsese movie. And I'm a little bit tired. I have work in the morning, 5 hours of sleep, then I'm up again. So I will just make it quick and say, or no, I need to thank everybody who gifted because we have a lot of super chat. I have to thank Jeff Steele for a lot of donations, $5 Aussie dollars, $10 Aussie dollars, gifted memberships, and I would say 4 or 5 gifts from Jeff Steele and Jonathan Lillenberg coming in with 5 memberships. And I have a lot of questions coming in for the Q&A. I'm so sorry. Stu had to go. He had some family issues. But we will come back next Monday and even more questions. And we have actually a couple of Man United players lined up, hopefully next Monday or then Monday after. So that will be great. And me and Tom and Stu will always be here on Jarvis's Corner. Thank you, Tom, for coming on. It's been a great show. We had a good talk. We have dived into the latest transfer news. Thank you, Roshmano, for sending me all these updates. And we will hopefully see you on the next. Stay tuned, everybody, and have a good Monday night or soon to be Tuesday. Bye-bye.
Thank you so much for stopping by and watching MUFC Realist TV. Don't forget to like and subscribe and follow us on the socials.